gap up here for the market to start this week and the second half of the month of June. S&P 500 sharply to the upside. Here is the NASDAQ, if I can type in that correctly, also sharply to the upside. You also have USO to the downside as U.S. President Trump announced via a Truth Social post. Looks like we do have a deal to conclude the conflict between the U.S. and Iran and reopen the all-important Strait of Hormuz. So good look for the market. Not as good of a look here if you are long oil. I know crypto also trading higher in tandem with the market. On this year, BTC actually posted its first green week after a 4-week losing session as of this Sunday. Now, if you look at SPCX, this is another name we're going to be talking about a lot today and likely continuing to do so in the future. Pretty successful IPO by all accounts on Friday. Let's see if this momentum can continue today as Elon Musk posts some pretty lofty revenue outlooks for SPCX going through to 2030. Lots to discuss today, Sharif. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you, Adira. Hope you had a great weekend. Yes, we're already doing 10 1/3 million shares here on SPCX after a very successful Friday IPO. At least the bottom didn't drop off, guys. Good look over here. Meta also in focus. Looks like the England regulator wants to restrict social media for people under the age of 16. We've been seeing a lot more of that. And then Amazon bringing to the attention of the Trump administration possible weaknesses in the Fable release, which is Anthropic's latest model. Now, this Fable model is based on Mythos, but it comes with railguards and safeguards. How apparently Amazon has been able to get around some of those, prompting the Trump administration to put an all, hands on deck, seizing using of the model. And there's lots to talk about in that regard, so we'll get to it. Micron with an upgrade, up big over here, almost 8% here, Adara. And as you mentioned, IBIT as well, up 4%. And then there's a possible buyout, as we spoke about on Friday, between Fox and Roku.
That Fox and Roku looks certainly on watch. I do want to do some housekeeping as well. At 8:30 a.m., NY Fed Manufacturing is going to come out. Then at 10 a.m., we're going to be getting NAHB Housing Market Index. Lots to discuss today. So without further ado, let's bring in Sean and Neil. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And the market is in love. The market is in love with the buys, in love with the deal being done. Unless you're, like Adira said, unless you care about volatility or oil, you got to be happy today. It's easy to talk about SpaceX up 5 points after the successful debut, but my goodness, Micron's up 8.
Oh yeah, these
right
things
now.
Are
like
stop.
Bitcoin
Marvell's
is flying.
up.
Like your quote boards. This is a good morning to pop up the quote board and just see what's going on here. SanDisk up big, Coinbase up big, Robinhood, Marvell, AMD, ETH, Broadcom in there. Heck, even Affirm is up. And like I said, if you're not really caring too much about energy or volatility, you're pretty much good to go. So yeah, pretty good start. It was a great weekend overall. I know lots of sports for lots of people, and congratulations to the Knicks.
Yeah, that was a good
Knicks
one.
pulled it off. Pulled it off.
And New York didn't get set on fire really, which was nice. I mean, I know it was a big
There
city.
were some concerns.
Yeah, but that's not as bad as I thought it would have been. So
it could have been worse.
That parade is Thursday, so congratulations there, and congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes as well, as we even up our bet with Joe there.
There it is.
And he's not in yet, so I don't know if he's in today or not.
Oh, he's
but
hiding.
Can't rub it in yet.
He's mad because he's mad.
Yeah, he's mad. He's mad. Yeah, he's not that mad.
Nah,
but yeah, welcome to everybody. Yeah. Oh, it was bad. Okay, someone was out there. Yeah, I don't know. I saw some. I was watching some CNN after it, and someone did. Oh well. Yeah, whatever. It's probably just another night. But yeah, no, it was good times. Good, decent weather around here. It was raining yesterday. I almost said snowing. It was
a lot of rain.
Yeah, we had all of our baseball canceled, which was great because I got to go to more hockey. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm off. We have Post Malone concert tomorrow night.
Post Malone.
I'm off. I'm off on Wednesday, and then we have Friday off as well.
That's right. It's a holiday shortened week.
Yeah, what a holiday shortened week there with Juneteenth coming on Friday. So happy Juneteenth. Is that what people say? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know that it's the thing.
Another reason to barbecue and get that going on there. So we had burgers last night. Finally, it cleared up, and we were able to get there on the patio there on the porch, barbecue it up a little bit there, and yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, the holiday shortened week makes things weird this week because it's supposed to be all the index stuff is supposed to happen at the end of the week, but now I think it all happens on Monday, so you got to wait a couple of. You got to wait for the weekend for Marvell to get added to the S&P 500. You got to wait until Monday as well for well, for sure Rocket Labs is going to the NASDAQ 100 and a couple of other names are going in there. And those names are going to be good too. So there's going to be a lot to watch. I think it should be a fun one. We should have Michael coming through, Michael Noss.
Yeah, that was one of Joe's picks there, that Tapuria on UFC.
Oh, that was...
Yeah, he lost. No, he lost.
Oh, no, he lost.
Yeah, he lost that one. Because I was riding with that pick, too. I was staying awake to watch a little bit, but I didn't see the main event. I went to bed, so...
well, I mean...
Real Trading Book as well is now available.
Canada got bailed out.
Yeah, they... oh, yeah, Sharif, how was that there, the atmosphere? Sharif was there at I guess it's called Toronto Field now, I guess.
Toronto Stadium, Katina, man. They did this to all the stadiums, by the way. Like even yesterday, the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, was called Dallas Stadium. So they're kind of branding. They don't want anyone to make money unless it's them, Katina, man.
Right.
That's FIFA.
But
it used to be BMO Field.
Exactly. And I think it will be in like about a month's time again.
Yeah.
But atmosphere was fantastic.
Good.
The opening ceremonies was pretty cool. Missed a little bit of that, but let me tell you, man, these Bosnian fans know how to kind of get rowdy, and it was nice to be around something like that.
Nice.
I bet. I saw the opening ceremony. The World Cup thing was falling apart. Did you notice that? Did you see that? I saw.
Yeah, thankfully I missed that part, because I would have been highly critical if I'd seen it live.
They spend all this money and the thing started blowing up. But yeah, okay, good, awesome. Well, it's great to have you obviously back. I mean, you didn't miss too much there on Friday, and just the beginning part, and then he left.
Yeah.
So 170.50 right here for SpaceX. So we bought some in our portfolio there on Friday. So we'll see if we can get a little more shares today. I'm really happy with the way that IPO obviously went. Was a big trading opportunity. We did get, stopped out early, was able to get back into it, and and then we actually rode the short all afternoon on Friday. So it was such a great opportunity to trade that SpaceX, and we want to thank everybody. We put up absolutely like record numbers there on Friday, and this is what I had the short there at the end of the day on it, and we started shorting around 170, and that fell into 160. So we made $10 that way, and we made a bunch of money right there off the open as well. So it was like, this turned out to be one of the better trading opportunities. And yeah, we do it live. We did it live, and it was great. We have over, I think in combined views, over 400,000 views for Friday. So
absolute record.
Yeah, it was a record, and it was a good one for us. So we'll hopefully some of you guys are new to the show, and we'll be talking about many more names other than SpaceX today. That is for sure.
But we will.
Yeah, it's the number one trade idea on here.
Unavoidable.
Yeah, it's going to be
for at least a couple of days. It's always any IPO. It's always going to be top of the mind for the first couple of days, but there is so much to get
Bitcoin's
to.
Trying to go too.
That's what I love about the rally today is you're kind of getting some of the deadness gone, like the fact that we got Bitcoin going, the fact that we got gold and silver also rallying. Hey, if war's over and it's risk back on, it's not as if you're getting a fall in gold. So I think that's a good sign for some of the metals as well. And you're in the right spot. If you tune in on Friday for the first time ever, just understand that we're covering the markets every single day. Even things like, hey, the travel name bouncing back, don't ignore like a CCL or an NCLH subtly breaking back out here. And who knows, can we sustain the rally? The one thing that there hasn't been as much, because so much is up today, I have not noticed any of these post-PDT like small cappers in the chat so much. Like usually in the morning, there's like, oh, this symbol, that symbol, 100% here or there. But I feel like a lot of it is, hey, like Micron's up 8%, and Bitcoin's rallying, and SpaceX is up another 6%, and Marvell's up 5%. It's a little bit more of that, and the Qs are up 2 points already. Like the Nasdaq's already up a couple points. Like, can we get to all-time highs? But there is one, and of course I say that, and then David immediately points to PAVs. I know, of course, there always is one. That's the whole point. 150 million on this habitual line stepper, and we call it a habitual line stepper because the daily chart usually speaks for itself in these particular cases, but there's a penny stock which is absolutely going ham already. So yeah, something for everybody in today's market. So Sharif, I know it's not up above $1, but it's done 150 million. Does this meet the requirement to get traded?
It's ripping right now, Neil, and here comes the half dollar as we speak, 135%. Taking out 40, had a little bit of resistance initially at 40, but those higher lows were operative, and there it goes. Now we'll have to see if this one can kind of mosey on its way to the dollar and stay above the volume-weighted average price by the midday, but it's showing a lot of promise here, as you mentioned. 202 million shares traded so far, Adara.
Yeah, good look there for some of these small caps. Not so good of a look, unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, for oil. So let's get into this here. USO is gapping down as President Trump indicates. Looks like there could be some final deal between the U.S. and Iran involving the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, initial confusion that the Strait was going to be open today and the blockade was going to be lifted today. Then on his way, of course, to Europe, President Trump took questions from reporters on board Air Force One, where he explained that technically it's not really going to be formally signed until Friday in Switzerland, where I guess he's going to meet some of the Iranian contingents. But let's get to some of the details here, guys. So a lot of the talk was, juxtaposing this deal to the deal that President Obama had struck them. Highly critical of that deal has been President Trump's, mainly because a lot of money was given to them, which President Trump posits was used in the nuclear program. Well, this time around, there's not going to be any direct issuing of new money, but you're going to have an unfreezing of the assets. And according to some reports, those assets could amount to about $25 billion that could go to the Iranians. Some food for thought there. Then, as the final draft was being etched out and President Trump was coming to basically announce it, which he did yesterday around 5:30 on Truth Social, a strike happened in southern Lebanon, prompting let's just say, an expletive-filled conversation between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, where he accused him of having no judgment and jeopardizing the global diplomatic layout. So we'll have to see how that kind of relationship goes. And then last but not least here, Dara, a lot was made about the nuclear fuel, right? What was going to happen with this nuclear material? Initially, reports stated that the Americans wanted that nuclear material to find its way into Russia directly. Apparently, that is not going to happen. It's going to be about a 60-day window to discuss how it's going to be dissolved locally, Adara. So should be interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I'm already seeing comments here from people in Iran talking about the deal. Nothing massive or nothing that we didn't know, but just to be aware of. I also want to mention here, nothing big in terms of moves here, but beware. CRM apparently signing a definitive agreement to acquire a company called Fin. So some acquisition news on watch. PAYO also apparently going to be acquired. So, we'll talk about that situation between Roku and Fox in a bit, but I do want to mention some other acquisition and deal-related news pieces on watch here.
Yeah, the Roku deal it's rather large, like 22 mil for Fox. But just remember, it's actually a lot of it is going to be, well, not a lot. It's 96 cash, but then the rest of it's going to be stock. So that's why you're going to see Fox down significantly. So they're actually using a decent share portion to make that acquisition. And you're seeing Roku trade well off the implied deal price. Part of that's going to be that Fox is headed to the downside. So Roku, it was an implied 160, but that was based on Fox's price at the time. Fox is now down 10%. So you're going to have to, if you're looking at this today and thinking it's going to be a crazy run, you better be watching Fox just to see how it's going to go. As far as this deal, deal or no deal, like at this point, I think, the market's like, yeah, okay, well, fine, might not be open today, but we're still going to treat this as pretty much done. Like you look at, there's been no relief rallies or movement in oil futures more or less all morning long. They've just been hanging off of the lows. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some kind of a pop, like maybe like a little bit of a try to relief rally and then head back in to the downside. But for all intents and purposes, this feels like the end, and this is exactly what the market has been looking for. You throw in the fact that we just had, it was a good week for the markets, but it can be easy to forget that we had some hot inflation numbers coming through. And now all of a sudden, you can finally look toward maybe the end of that push, and the Fed can get back to maybe thinking about the labor markets. There's going to be a couple of months where you're still having inflation filter through, but it feels a lot better. I think you're going to see the odds of that rate increase might start to crop a little bit lower throughout the week. And then, of course, on Wednesday, it'll be a nothing burger. But hopefully by then, it won't be like I don't want to say a lot, but it's been generally high percentage that there would be rate hikes by the end of the year and early next year. And I think that's going to start to taper off a little bit, which is a good sign overall.
Yeah, I think with Wednesday's meeting, I think Kevin Warsh is going to start talking about rate cuts. to tame this inflation with this war being potentially over with. That should bring inflation back down. We should have obviously a little bit of a volatility spike the other way to the downside, and like to get rid of some of this volatility. We've seen the VIX start to come back in, obviously with the NASDAQ up another 2% today, and the ES really starting to go. Here's USO. I actually have it written down. Was just currently typing up the sticky note, and 120 there, it goes breaking lower. I'm going to try to short. I wrote down the 200 period, so 124 is what I have written down, but we'll wait to see what winds up happening there with USO up to 125. That's where we closed on Friday. Obviously the deal, deal or no deal, it's definitely a step in the right direction here, and it does suck. And we mentioned a couple weeks ago, obviously, that Netanyahu and Trump don't seem to be on the same page as far as where they want to take this thing. But the United States is the dog that wags the tail. So there's the move to the downside right now. Finally trying to hold it. Last week we were talking with Brendan up there on the desk, and he was talking about this 135 to 140, and it was getting pretty choppy there with Sharif, Brendan, and all of us. And then now finally we start to break lower, convincingly lower now. It's not like it's just hovering around. I finally think like a 5% move in oil is a big move, and I want to short any pops here. I do believe something's going to get resolved sooner rather than later, if it hasn't sort of already, with the memorandum of understanding, I think it is, MOU, that's been written up now. So yeah, the nuclear aspect is pretty key for this to get done. And we had talked about it, and I talked about this with Kevin O'Leary last week, and just talking about some nuclear, and there we go, a little bit of a day's bump now for nuclear. And when we were talking to him, it was down here at $9. Now you're up to 10. I think this, again, as the market starts to go a little higher, you can see names like SMR, names like Oklo, start to just drift a little bit higher here as this day goes on. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to have a look at some of the nuclear names today, especially SMR, just because I like the way this one trades. I mean, it's a sort of a low price but high possible mover, right? And so you can get that 10% sort of every single day back and forth there with SMR. I did put out a tweet there asking to see if anybody had any ideas today. Yeah, Dane is all about Robinhood. We'll talk a little bit about that. What's up, man? To Andrew. Oh, hey, what's up from across the pond as well? The NASA ETF. Yeah, I think you might be right there as well. What's up, Noah? And then, yeah, Space Innovators. There's a lot of different ETFs that are out there right now. And, we looked at NASA last week, and I think with Rocket Lab and ASTS and all these names starting to move around, good opportunities here to get back in. I have SpaceX, and again, you're going to see it soon. The note's about out. I have SpaceX written as the long again here today. So, a little bit of a fallback wouldn't surprise me. Again, the 200 period moving average, closing price of 165 on Friday-ish. I mean, where was it close exactly? I guess it was down here. Closing price 161, 162, floated up into 164, 165. We'll see what winds up happening now. But here's the NASDAQ with a little bit of a move lower. Up 2% seems to be a lot into today. We do have, like you mentioned, though, Rocket Lab and some of those other names, and a Zscaler moving out of the NASDAQ.
Yeah, they're coming out.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about names moving in, but Zscaler moving out. So you see them with not the greatest earnings report there. Then they get the news of, losing their listing in the NASDAQ 100. So we'll wait to see if there's any sort of a prop up here around $122 for Zscaler. So yeah, it should be a good one, man. I mean, I don't know. I didn't check the note yet, but we're supposed to have Michael Noss coming through, so we'll see what he's doing. And he got some allocation. He talked about it on the show. I hope all of you guys got some allocation.
Anybody that got the allocation we saw in the chat, all be happy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was saying. Like, even when Kevin was on here, and I was trying to tell everybody, like, if you get the allocation, you got to take it. And then, there's no way it was going to open up near that 135, but it actually did. It opened up at 150.
Because closer than expected.
Way closer than expected. So congratulations to everybody part of that IPO. It just makes me more confident, more excited. I had my biggest day of the year, of course, and we'll have more, hopefully, excitement on the Anthropic and on OpenAI. And the fact that it was opened up so well, with no halts, no real controversies. Like, the quotes were actually pretty stable. It was one of the best openings.
Best run IPOs.
And if you lost money, you knew why. Like, there wasn't like anything crazy dramatic. It didn't halt, and then, what price do I take? It was very orderly.
It also opened before 130, which...
Yeah, it was really nice.
It wasn't as early as we would have liked, but
11:46.
It was before noon. It was before 11:30, or 12:30. It was so good.
That's bananas, Randy.
Really, bananas,
That's bananas, Randy?
Bananas, he says.
Yeah, bananas.
As we get the...
I guess there must be no bananas today.
Oh, well,
I guess.
Take what you can get. We're not going to hate on it.
Matches the strap here today, so I got the orange strap on. right there. So 820, good one. We'll get that sticky note out. We got a bunch of different names going through, like SpaceX. Some of the chip names upside again today, over 2%. The Nasdaq starting to go back upside. We're almost back to all-time highs on the Nasdaq. I mean, that didn't take too long.
Give it a day.
So it's ready to rock and roll here. Yeah, give it another day, and I think we're there as well. SpaceX, yeah, more levered ETFs going to be coming out soon, right?
Oh, yeah. The SpaceX 2X ones.
Is it out already?
Well, I don't see them. So they think there was like a delay for the SpaceX 2X levered. At least I can't bring them up. So for anyone that's all excited about that, the options are supposed to start.
Yeah,
today,
let us know.
So it's only a matter of time. You guys let us know if you can trade. There's like 3 different.
I don't even know what the symbols are.
One of them's
it's like space.
You know what? If I just
SPCXL maybe.
SPCX or. There we go.
SPCU
is supposed to be that one.
SPCL.
And then Granite is SPAL. And I don't think we can pull either one.
Defiant Space.
And there's SPAX.
SPCL.
But I can't pull any of them up.
SPCL.
Oh, this one, SPAX is quoting.
Yeah, it's not. No, you can't. SPCL we don't have.
No,
this
SPAX is quoting, but I don't know whether this is going to actually be open. We'll see. But obviously, you can just look. Everyone can just trade SpaceX. Like you don't need 2x daily levered to be able to trade. But there are a bunch of them that are supposed to be coming to market this week, for sure. Which I feel like is a bit unprecedented. Like, do we really need these products that fast? But hey, they're here. The CDR is here. We were showing you guys that already on Friday. So that's a way for Canadian investors to be able to get it currency hedged. So that was already up and running and looking pretty good to go. So yeah, so we're locked and loaded. We're ready. We're going to throw it back up to the desk. Mosey on. We got a lot to cover this morning. It's a busy one.
We're going to talk some crypto, but a couple headlines I want to mention first. For one, we have Vice President J.D. Vance talking about this Iran deal on CNBC, saying that there's going to be a 2-step verification process between the U.S. and Iran with regards to Hormuz, and saying that Hormuz is, quote, already enjoying more traffic. But this Nvidia story, straight from a couple minutes ago now, is pretty interesting. Starting to see some reports that it's going to be joining the likes of Google and reportedly even Meta as well. They're looking to raise roughly $20 billion of cash. They're going to be selling some high-grade investment debt. I mean, I know this has been discussed in the midday. How do you feel about these companies continuing to raise money in this way?
Yeah, it's a great question, Adira. It's one that, we see these companies with hordes of money, but we see them expend it as quickly, if not faster, than how they're bringing it in. It speaks to the nature of the build-out right now. I think it's just such a cash-demanding build-out with prices really starting to skyrocket, whether you're looking at CPUs now, which are back in vogue, with inference, the GPUs, the RAM, which has been, quadrupled, I think, year over year in terms of price. So it always makes me worry, Adira, when these sort of previously asset-light names really start taking on heavy assets and heavy debt, because it changes the financial narrative a little bit.
Yeah, definitely something to watch here for NVDA. But let's also talk here about MSTR in the crypto space, because once again here, Michael Saylor's strategy, buying some more Bitcoin.
I didn't actually know that. $82 million in liquidations yesterday, short liquidations, which were caught offside as President Trump made the announcement mid-afternoon yesterday. But we need to kind of temper some of the expectations and highlight the fact that there's been 5 consecutive weeks of net outflows from these ETFs, these spot ETFs tracking Bitcoin. So even a nice move like that, we still got to put it into context. And then listen to this. The Financial Times is reporting that Iran is trying to actually collect new tanker transit fees in Bitcoin. Now, I know they've been doing that already, but they're actually going to do this going forward. And it's apparently some of the estimates are saying it's going to be about $1 per barrel here, and then to be paid in Bitcoin. So we'll see how that all works out. Simultaneously, you have the U.S. here with a massive unpublicized enforcement action where U.S. Treasury officials actually blacklisted Nebius, I think is the name of the company, which is Iran's largest cryptocurrency exchange, allegedly for processing hundreds of millions for the IRGC. So just as they're organizing themselves to be able to collect some of the transit fees, which I guess are part of the agreement here, the U.S. taking action and preventing some of their collection abilities here, Adira.
Yeah, interesting look there with regards to Iran. I do want to mention as well here with strategy buying 1,587 Bitcoin for $100 million. Also, I'm seeing some people in the chat ask about ARM. I'm not seeing anything in terms of news and social media. only seeing people confused as to this drop. If I see anything, I will let you guys know. What do you guys feel here about, I guess, also ARM, but this Bitcoin space today?
Well, in the absence of news on ARM, which I'm suspecting we'll probably hear something at some point, you don't really drop 25 bucks in 10, 15 minutes when there's usually nothing going on. It could be technical, but I'm leaning towards there's probably something here that we don't know just yet. So the easy answer for ARM is like, yeah, stay away from this one unless you have some sort of an inside. But at the 400 level, it's the multiple times that it's really just lost this level. Technically, there hadn't been a lot of buyers when it's been failing here. Like there was a little consolidation up top, but once it's underneath, it's generally been will sell, recover, and then today looks like that 400 just goes. But I like the move in Bitcoin here. Like you cleared way out. Like if you look at the last couple of weeks, like no matter how bullish you got, like we were just running into brick walls here. And you're finally back above 65K at 66. In IBIT, it was the 36.5 level, and you've gapped through that. That's an obvious place that if you dip 36.5, that gets on the nose. There's too much resistance at 36.5 on IBIT to not respect it as a good level to come back into. And then I pop over and put one of these back to a daily chart because I like my daily. Then when you pop back over to like the daily here on IBIT, like we've twice now kind of ticked like a 5 handle and managed to bounce off it. So you've got yourself a double bottom that we're working on here for Bitcoin. And I think you look to 68 has been a bit of a level, 68,000. So you get up there. I think you start thinking on the day trade fades on IBIT. But for now, yeah, I like that prior high, 36.5, and I'll probably look at the 37 for some dip buys. You haven't really broken the downtrend, but you've still made that temporary double bottom. The last time it held 60,000, it was able to make a decent rally before coming back into the low. So I think you're in store for something very similar. But I saw in the chat someone liked Robinhood, and I like Robinhood today. I'm not making any qualms about this. I think it's crypto adjacent, it's market risk on adjacent, it's PDT rule as well. It had a double top that we've broken through, so I want to pull back into the prior high here on Hood. That's about 95.5. Yeah, I think crypto, at least relief rally. As I said before, Bitcoin hasn't really broken that overall downtrend on the daily, but it can still be bullish for a little bit.
All right. Just looking here at the VIX, I mean, today you're getting a little bit of a pullback, obviously, in the VIX as we're up quite nicely right here. So this is UVXY, an ETF, short-term ETF you can trade here with the VIX, and you're starting to break a little bit underneath. So that's really great. I mean, as the market here finally gets a little bit of a relief rally into it, obviously we just talked about what was going on with Bitcoin, what's been going on with oil, what's been going on in the Middle East. So there it is, man, UVXY on a nice, this is a daily chart here. So you're starting to now break underneath, which is really great to see. Obviously the war spiked some of this, and that's ETF rebalance there, so we won't necessarily have to look at that, but this is what the VIX itself looks like. We're now at 16. I do hear a Darren in my ear, so I don't know if that was live there. And then if you zoom back in a little bit here, you're going to see you're starting to finally come right back into that little $16 area on the VIX proper, right? And so again, a volatility index, probably going to be little lack of, I mean, today will be upside, and then tomorrow we'll wait again for the Fed, which is coming on Wednesday. So we're just moments away from what's going to be here a hold on the rates, right? We have very, very much chance of that. And if you go into December, things will start to switch back the other way now, right? And we were saying that, so right now today, we're gonna wait for 350 to 375. That's the current rate right now, 350 to 375. In December, it's looking much more likely that that is exactly where we're gonna wind up. That's where the odds on favor are for actually nothing to happen by the time we get to December. And then there's a 41% chance that we have a 1 rate hike in us, and then a small chance that there's that rate hike of 2. That has changed pretty dramatically over the last little while. So we'll wait to see here as Kevin Warsh makes his appearance on Wednesday for the very first time. You're now 2 days, 5 hours, and 30 minutes away from that happening. So that should be, again, another decent look come Wednesday to give us a little bit more opportunity to maybe trade some volatility. But this is the time now. If you're looking to hedge some of your positions, I've said this a couple of times, like I am obviously net long, I'm only long everything. We've been buying some up in the last little while. To protect your portfolio, VIX is always something to look at because there's a little bit of a spike. If you were buying protection down here at 16, all the way up to 22.5 there, on some worry, it's coming right back in. A man that knows a little bit about buying some protection and I'm sure has traded some VIX before in his life is Michael Noss. And we're gonna go over to the desk right now. Congratulations, Michael. We knew that the SpaceX IPO, was going to hopefully, we didn't know it, but we'd hoped that it went off without a hitch there, and it did. So, all that initial, longs at 135 and concerns there that maybe we opened up under the IPO price didn't seem to happen. And now we've got a little bit of a move today as well. So there it is. It's Michael was here with us on Friday. He's here every single Monday as well. Let's go back over the desk and hear what the guys have to say to Michael Noss.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Michael in 1 second. Just so you guys know, minor number here at 8:30 a.m. This is the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index. 5.7 is the number we got. That's going to be markedly below the prior print of 19.6 and below that forecast and consensus between 14 and 12 here. So lower than expected, lower than previous for that NY Empire State Manufacturing Index. Now we're going to bring in our friend Michael Noss, CMT. Thank you so much for being here with us once again on this Monday and as well every single Friday, as Sean mentioned. How are you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic. It was a great weekend, and hey, who can't be walking in with a smile on their face with a gap up like this?
I mean, exactly, right? Especially with what we have here. Positive news for the world, it seems like. And also, if you were looking at or traded SpaceX, pretty positive look as well, because I understand you want to talk a little bit more about SpaceX and other IPO stuff today.
Yeah, so on Friday, I came in with a very interesting study that was run on what happens when these large IPOs take place. And the idea is pretty simple. So, this gentleman, I think it was the University of Florida, in 2010, just looked at all large IPOs that happen. And there's very little to trade on the actual IPO itself. You're either, betting it's going up or it's not. That's kind of all you can do. And this is kind of what we talked about in the last show, where, when the big IPO lists, the other ones in the sector that you already own, generally speaking, get sold. And the example that I gave in the last slide was Facebook, because this was the closest thing I could find to the SpaceX IPO. And just to the next slide there. Perfect. So this was Facebook, and a long time ago, right? Only people with gray in their beard like me were probably around to trade this. But Facebook didn't do too much, and and maybe Sean and Neil too. Facebook didn't do too much to the upside, but then you had LinkedIn and Groupon and Yelp and Zynga and all these things kind of fell apart. So I said, okay, if this thing's going to happen the same way it happened before, then be careful of the other space stocks that have been rallying, especially the day before. Things like Virgin Galactic was up like 20%. Start to maybe keep an eye on those. And this is the action that happens. So that 19% for SpaceX is from the 130 IPO price. It's around, I think, 8% if you actually bought it right on the opening print. So you could take that number and apply it to yourself. But if you look at what happened to Rocket Labs, Planet Labs, ASTS, and Space, that looks pretty much exactly like that other chart with Facebook. And that was an amazing trade. Like I mentioned, I had gotten some allocation. I only found out that morning when I was on with you guys. But I did have a little bit of, especially Space going into this, and I sold it kind of right on the open and actually took a little bit of a short and made some decent little bit of a trade there. So we're going to talk about, it's very interesting that it went that way, but I'm not just here to brag. We gotta talk about kind of what's next, right? So Virgin Galactic, again, down 32% in a single day, and it wasn't a guess, right? We just read the study, applied the study to the market, ended up being a great trade after that. So the next one is potentially Anthropic, right? They've already filed their S1. We don't have a launch date yet, but I think just going off the back of what happened, we should potentially start to look to prepare for this. So the last round had this company around $350 billion per $350 billion as the total of the company. And then the people who backed it were Google and Amazon, so that's interesting. So they're saying fall of 2026, sometime by the end of the year, but we don't know. We should start to look at the next slide here, which is just some of these competitors. Because if the same thing is going to happen, we could potentially take the same trade. And the beauty of this is it's a pretty simple trade. So we don't need to do anything yet, but these are just some things to potentially take a look at. AI and SoundHound and Big Bear and Palantir. What happened with all of the space stocks is the first couple days before the IPO, there's a lot of hype about, in this case, space, but in this one, it will be AI. You could potentially buy these up going into that price, and then maybe potentially look to take some sort of pairs trade or sell, where you say, okay, maybe Palantir runs up a couple days before. Again, a lot of what ifs. We don't know what's going to happen for sure. And then if it's going to follow the same thing, maybe that's the top of Palantir. Maybe we look for a short the next day, something like that, right? So there's two main differences I want to talk about here in just the next slide, and that is that the pure rival for Anthropic doesn't exist yet, right? So OpenAI doesn't trade. So it's one of those things in which the Microsoft owns a lot of OpenAI, so maybe we take a look at that as OpenAI, opens a lot of AI as Anthropic comes through. And then Google and Amazon are large holders now of Anthropic. So you could potentially trade those names as a proxy, because if they own them, if Anthropic comes first, then if that's going to pull money out of Microsoft and OpenAI, that could potentially be a trade there. So I just wanted to go through, that was the study that we ran. So we read the study, you pull the numbers from it if it's something that makes sense to you. SpaceX actually proved that. So if Anthropic is going to come next, I think it's just, I wanted to kind of represent this to you guys to say, okay, start doing your homework now on if, no one knows what will happen before, for sure, but if we get the same thing that happened just on Friday with SpaceX, there could be some really great, even if just intraday trades. I know there's some people out there who just took that SpaceX short or Planet Labs just for a quick shot. Maybe the same thing's going to happen with some of these other names. So if you're a holder of them, maybe start to read this study if you'd like and think it through. And then if it actually triggers, then maybe there's a good short for us that like to take both sides.
It's a really interesting look in terms of the way that some of these sympathy trades or anti-sympathy trades can show up with these IPOs. I do have some questions, and these are going to be a little bit speculative, so I guess I apologize in advance for that. But I guess one question I had, I know these are necessarily day one. In terms of day two plays, so like, the Zyngas and the LinkedIns of the world for Meta, and then of course for the SpaceX situation on Friday, Rocket Labs, et cetera. Is that a situation where would you see these continuing to sell off or maybe bouncing on day two? And I'm not sure if the study got into that.
Not so much day two, but it did show that after about a week or so, it becomes a sector. Generally speaking, you have, if one quantum computer name is hot, they'll all be hot that day to some degree. Same with retail, same with financials, same with everything. So eventually it just becomes a basket. And the thing I talked about on Friday, I meant to reiterate this time, was that it's not that, SpaceX or Virgin Galactic, SPC, is like a much worse company than it was the day. It's a flows thing. If I want to own a basket of space stocks, I've got to sell some to buy others. So I think this normalizes in about a week, and then all of a sudden, if you're getting good space news, they're probably all going up, and then bad space news, they're probably all going down.
So yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. And I guess another question as well, and again, not sure if this is gotten into in the study, but in a situation where, and I guess this is looking forward to an Anthropic and then even maybe an OpenAI IPO, if you have a situation where the other members of the sector don't necessarily run up or run up in as noticeable of a way leading up to the IPO, is that something where maybe this day one and first week reaction changes a bit?
Yeah, so it did notice that if there was no change in the sector going into the IPO, it just kind of represented a lack of hype, because if you were at all watching anything last week, it was all about SpaceX hype, and that's by design. We need these things to get people to buy them, so you need to have them mentioned on CNBC and all these places to help hype them up. So if you don't notice them, that's why, generally speaking, there's less of a chance that the IPO works out, because you just don't have that push from everyone out there. So I would be worried about anything that doesn't get any sort of kind of hype or run up going into that week. And I think this is why when the study was done, he specifically looked at large IPOs. And I think that's really important as well. If, a retail company comes out and it IPOs and it's 1/1000th of the size of Walmart, I don't think it affects it. It's only when, SpaceX, for example, was larger than every other space company combined that it's really going to have this effect and really matter.
Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. As always, Michael Noss, where could people find you if they want more information on what you do?
Yes, StatsEdgeTrading.com is my website, and Michael Noss, CMT, on all socials.
On Stats Edge, and thank you, as always, Michael, for being here with us every single Monday and Friday around 8:30 a.m. As such, you will see him again on this Friday. Thanks again, Michael.
Thanks. Have a great one.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks. Have a great one.
Thank you, too.
Yeah, big thanks to Michael there for sure. And I don't know, man, like there was all kinds of signs for some of those sympathy plays like Virgin Galactic that, hey, maybe, just maybe, if you're up on the hype and you don't have quite the same type of business or that viable of one as well, that when they had a chance to sell the news, they would do so and do so in a dramatic fashion. It was just a vast difference between, say, Virgin Galactic or, say, Rocket Labs in the lead up to the IPO, and then none got burned harder than SpaceX, which I don't think is too much of a surprise. On lighter news, a couple of things happening here. ARM was able, there was never really any headline that came with this drop, and ARM's more or less right back. So it's bought right back up, so the market bounced a little bit. ARM bounces almost the entire way back. So that's a good sign. Like you would like, if there was nothing happening here, then you should expect to see some dip buyers in there. So I guess some of the concern alleviated there. And we were just talking about SpaceX, so worth noting, SpaceX busting through 170, holding VWAP on the way to the potentially this 175-ish top. Now remember, if you were sitting when you're here on Friday and we're sort of listing off the indicative open prices, it turned out that the ones that we hung on where there was liquidity before the open, where it'd say, okay, we're opening at 175, and then it was 169 for quite some time. Like that ended up being the first level of resistance as well. So I think that 175 once again going to come into potential play. But the volume looking fantastic. It's still looking pretty bullish. But I'd stay bearish on Virgin Galactic, the other space.
Look, we hit like I was saying, the biggest trade right there, long, obviously, right off the open. That was an absolute monster. And then this was a great short as well. I heard Michael talk about potentially getting some of that short, and we got it all, man. I mean, 171 did not break right there. So, it's broken now, but that was a top from Friday, and we just went short, and the rest is history, man. That was over $10. It was over $10 one way or $20 one way, and then $10 the other way. So even though SpaceX only had like a $25 range, we wind up almost taking 35 plus on that name on Friday. So let's continue to watch out for SPCX. It's the #1 trading name here for me today. So we're just going to keep on watching it and probably put on a bunch more trades here on SPCX. And I was just still had on, of course, the UVXY from the last time we spoke, but there's breaking through that 131, and this is what I was talking about right into here. We shorted the back end of this move, just thinking that there was going to be some, just some sellers come on Friday, and that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, I was waiting down here at 155 or so, did not get long on SpaceX down there, but we're long anyways. We got long during this melee around this price, 170 to 171 on Friday. So yeah, I'm now long SpaceX in the old count, and we'll wait to see if we get long again here today as we continue to move around. And then, you can get some love with the NASA ETF as well, if that's something you guys want to look at. And that's now up 2.2%. And, names like the Rocket Lab and we talked about this one, ASTS. There's going to be, let's talk about Virgin Galactic. There's a lot of names to look at here today as we continue to move forward. AMD is up a handful today. There's so many names that continue to enjoy this 2% move up. If you were working before, you're working again. And that's basically the idea. Nothing's really changed. Obviously, money comes out of these names as loose hands get nervous again about the IPO, about over the weekend to see if there was going to be that deal. And now it looks like we are starting to break out again on Micron and SanDisk. I mean, all these names just, like I said, if you were $2,100. Okay, didn't even realize that. Now look at this move. Talking about a little bit of a break, man. This thing went from 1,800 down to 1,500, and now 2,100 again as SNDK. There's no stopping any of these names, man. I mean, Marvell's another one that's on the upside. Robinhood, anything that you thought you would work in a bull market today is working. So upside. You know what? The one thing I didn't look at was Apple there, because it was, so that's still under that 300. So this could be sort of the next one that's languishing just a little bit down here, ready to get going, bouncing off the 50-period moving average. A great time to look at some more Apple if you want to be a little more conservative in your portfolios. And Google, Amazon, all the rest of them seem to be hovering around a little bit higher and better off than Apple is today. So yeah, lots of names to focus on. We'll go back over the desk. We have our watch list, watchlist.tradertv.live. That's not the right one, but the link is in description. You can go grab that right now. If you're not part of the watch list, you're missing out, man. Every single day, lots of names on there. And even today, we have on the watch list a mover, which is right at the bottom of it. I was looking at it earlier. Its symbol is CAST. So free cast today, upside as that keeps on going here, higher and higher and higher. This is a DirecTV integrated streaming service. And again, with more and more talk here of Roku, we'll talk about that too, with their recent acquisition by Fox, you're gonna see Cast upside now 4.5% right there, starting to go up. And that's following a recent strength. And now it's expansion of its partnership with DirecTV from Friday. So nice move there, and a day 2 play upside for Cast. So here's one that's up 190%. And yeah, man, it was a really good one. Thank you so much, George, there in the chat, or sorry, not George, JD Garcia right there. It was a couple of great trades on Friday, and yeah, I had my biggest day, and it was a good one. So we're really happy with the way that performed out. You can always do better, but we'll do better on Anthropic. And we want to thank, we had record views as well on Friday, so thanks to everybody
monster number
for all of that. And it was well done, man. A lot of energy that day, and hopefully we can get some more back in here today.
Oh, you know what? We don't have Joe this morning, but I'll read you one upgrade because it's a big number here. Micron got a TD Cohen price upgrade from 660 to 1,500. 1,500, saying the higher. Wow. Oh my goodness. So look, Micron, we'll talk about the market. Maybe tomorrow could see the all-time high. Micron could see its as well. Well, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? It's up 8 points today. If you look at what's happening with DRAM, absolutely flying around here as. Look, this has been the hot spot, and we're not telling you anything you don't know, that memory has been the place to go, but DRAM is poised for a potential run to break out the highs. It's $70, about $70 in there, led by, obviously, SNDK and by Micron, both these names just going ham. Like, you've cracked 2K on SNDK, which I don't think, like, it's insane that you were past the 2,000 number. I'm just waiting for these guys to, like, when are they going to split? It feels like this is the obvious company that, there's a lot, I mean, you could say Micron should split too, and I think you'd be right about that, but like at some point, these guys got to split. It's just getting way too intense to the upside. And look, DRAM's fantastic, but just pointing out, like, SNDK already broke out highs, already through the 2K. It seems like it's Micron's turn to try to do that next. So the chips are going to be in play. There's really not much you can do about it every single day. Crypto's going to be in play. We talked about that already, SpaceX and the related space stocks. There's something for everybody, and we're going to have a lot of fun covering it. That's why you got to have the watch list, so you can narrow down some of those symbols. And even the dead one, Sharif, and I say the dead one, and we joke about this because it's not really, like, Apple's not the dead one. It's just that Sharif called it the dead one for a while. Even Apple, not as strong as everything else, but if you look closely, somebody is buying this at the 50-period moving average on the daily. So even when you're not strong, you're still finding buy support. That should be key, I think, this week. I don't expect Apple to be the big volatility mover, not when you have so much else going on, and especially considering that the names that were the safe places and safe havens when you'd have memory and the chip names pulling back and it was a bit risk off, and you'd have relative strength in Apple and relative strength in Walmart, let's just say, and a few other safe names, they're not going to get as much of a jump when we're up 2%. But don't sleep on the value that you get here with Apple. WDC, they already had the little sell-off moment, and we found a bit of a bottom temporarily. For the dead one, Sharif.
It is a disappointing one this morning, Neil, underperforming as you mentioned. But yeah, the cyclicality was pretty obvious there when everything else was kind of hurting. This one was holding up a little bit more. But as we saw, Dara, it was a big sell the news event.
Oh yeah, the WWDC event was certainly not well received. We're going to talk now about a different Mag 7 name, or a couple of these actually. META is the chart I have up here, but Google could be another one to look at as we hear that the UK is looking to put out what sounds like a pretty extensive ban for social media usage for kids under 16.
Blanket social media ban is the term being thrown around here online. Slated for early 2027, no exact date, of course, but politics has a lot to do with this. Keir Starmer under a lot of pressure from his own party as well as others to resign, and now he's facing more pressure from another Labour candidate, the mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, and apparently he's a big advocate of social media ban, so trying to get ahead of this individual, sort of try to reclaim the narrative. But the U.S. none too plussed about this. In fact, the U.S. Embassy in London issued a sharp, quiet warning to the UK government, explicitly cautioning that a blanket social media ban violates free speech protections and places what they're calling an unfair and disproportionate regulatory burden on American tech companies. Lastly here, though, this is not just for social media. We're not just talking about TikTok. We're not just talking about Instagram and Facebook. Live streaming here also being covered by this. So the legislation quietly goes significantly further than Australia's model, and as we saw last week, the Canadian proposed model as well. The UK bill will feature world-leading blocks, according to this report, and target the broader physical economy gaming sector, which is going to completely ban under 16s from live streaming themselves and heavily restricting the multiplayer gaming chat functionalities with the goal of preventing adults from communicating directly with minors vis-a-vis the comms on gaming.
If we get more countries instituting these types of bans, do you think it gets to a point where it starts hurting the profit and the revenue of some of these companies, especially with the fact that these are very ad-driven?
That's a great question, Adara. One hard for me to know without actually looking at the data and the metrics, how much of their revenue is generated by individuals under the age of 16. What percentage of advertisers are targeting market or customers under that age? So, yeah, I think we definitely need to do a little bit of a deep dive here to kind of make a more of an educated guess.
I guess we'll have to find out in time. In the meantime, though, these social media companies absolutely on watch. Are you guys looking at any of these today?
Well, I think there's more bullish places to look than Meta, even though it's up 1.5 points right now. But I would say this at least. You know, there's a reason why. Like you had Zuckerberg open to the notion of data centers, monetizing AI, looking for other places of monetization. So I think they see that there's a little bit of an attack on their business model, and they've got some places they can flex and move elsewhere. If we were just talking about Apple as the dead one, as a joke, I mean these guys. If we're just talking about the Mag 7 here, then these guys have been the dead one. You can say this about Microsoft, but then Microsoft's kind of like IGV, whatever. It's the software names and blah blah blah, and then that group has been beaten up. No, it's been Meta, realistically, that has not looked good. And ever since it lost to 600, it's looking for a temporary home again, because somebody was buying that sucker up. So even if we get a rally in Meta, until it can once again prove that there's buyers above the 6 level, I think it's like resistance till proven otherwise here in Meta. So I like the fact it's up 1.5 points. I think it'll be a stay away for me here. I just think there's a lot more attractive places to go. Like you got value to buy on Apple over there. You had Amazon pull back into the 200-period moving average last week for a nice little bounce, and of course they get the Anthropic angle. So there's something going on for them as well, and Google as well relative to a Meta. So I think you're going to start getting some value there, just not right here. There's still some better place.
Yeah, first of all, I think these restrictions are absolutely ridiculous. But what are we supposed to do about it?
It is what it is.
I guess not much. I was going to look at, I kept on typing in Rocket Lab there, but I was trying to think about what's the video game system that everybody uses, the one online. All the games are there right now. I guess no one can think about what it is. Roblox, RBLX, right there. So Roblox. This is going to be the one that's probably the most affected, by everything there. To get rid of streaming and not allow, kids to stream and all that stuff. Streaming has made hundreds of millions of dollars for kids. There's lots of great streaming channels, and I know some of them are run by adults, but it still involve kids under the age of 16 streaming stuff. And I think they should be allowed to do, honestly, whatever they want and just try to get a handle on your kids a little bit if you're able to. I mean, my kids are on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on Snapchat, they're on all that, and they have amazing, academic lives and social lives and family lives and everything all wrapped up into one. I mean, when we were kids going around there, I could have just gone to the store and bought a pack of smokes myself when I was 12 or 13 years old. Nowadays, obviously, restrictions are a little bit tighter than that, but I mean, it didn't stop us from running around. We were running around the streets, when we were younger with absolutely no issues, and now all of a sudden there's all these crazy restrictions. Now I get the running around the streets part, maybe not, but if we're not going to let them go to parks anymore, then maybe we should at least let them, enjoy something online. And I do understand that, taking your time to make sure that they're properly safe, that's one thing, right? And I think Roblox has messed that up a little bit with some of their safeguards as far as allowing kids, adults to go on there and talk to kids basically without a filter on them. So I do believe that there are some things that have to happen, but a complete ban seems to be a little bit silly. I mean, especially if you're not going to let them watch streaming services either, then bye-bye YouTube, right? I mean, YouTube's such a huge part of everybody's life, not just for streaming the most ridiculous, stupid, dumbass things. That's what TikTok and all that is for. YouTube actually has shows and all these things that are on there as well. So does TikTok. I'm not taking shots at TikTok. It's just that, the mind-numbingness of the reels. And they're on YouTube, they're on Meta, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok. Those I can sort of see, they call it doom scrolling, right? If you're doom scrolling things, I think that's not overly healthy, but there are lots of stuff that, kids, teenagers, because remember 16, like you have 13, 14, 15, 16, like these are teenagers that are in high school that honestly should be able to control, what they themselves view. And so I just think it's a little bit harsh and a little bit of a tough pill to swallow there, to ban the complete ban of it. But yeah, we'll see how Australia takes that and whatever winds up happening to USA and Canada. There are various things like that being approached here as well, in Canada to try to restrict it. And Apple just released I think a 16 plus or 17 plus sort of iOS there, where it does unlock different things depending on your age. And so I think there are good means to this madness. It's just I don't know if it's being operated and worked on properly. Meta just continues to get hit, but I really like Meta, man. I mean, there's a new acronym. It's called Mango. It's like Meta, Anthropic, something with N. G is Google. O is
be OpenAI.
OpenAI.
Yeah.
GXAI.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know what is
OVAS.
GXAI? What is it?
There was a small capper that had an AWS tie-up a while back. Well, maybe it wasn't a while back. Maybe it might have been,
Gaxos AI?
Maybe Dare remembers, but like a few weeks ago maybe. We heard of it. It feels skipped by the media. Well, I mean, you get small cappers. How big is this thing? GXAI. Like to say it's skipped by the media, realistically, when you're talking about how big is this thing? $12 million company is kind of unfair. And yeah, there was something with them in AWS. There's also, remember, we're bringing up these, and we'll call it what it is. Like a penny stock's a penny stock, and this one's been bouncing off $1 for a while, not doing much with it. So I think this is one of those, thank you for the super chat, and they do have an AWS hype that was a couple of months ago, but it's basically been buy it off $1, see how far it's able to even go, and it hasn't been able to follow through just yet, there's so many companies like this. And if you like it, there's fundamental reasons why, fair. But we can't sit here and say that we know every single company in the market. We can call it up. And when something like this gets a story and gets volatility behind it, when it's been cresting this dollar for so long, yeah, you can get some serious runs on it. But there's plenty of small cappers that are moving on a daily basis. This just doesn't happen to be one of them, even if it has found a bit of base. Thank you for the super chat. We definitely appreciate it. Ooh, it's almost 9 o'clock. We talked about the free watch list, so it's about time to mosey on into it. We already know what's one name that's going to be on there. SpaceX, let's be real, that's going to be on there. It's got to be there.
Imagine not.
Well, if it wasn't there, then we'd have some serious questions, serious questions to be asked. But it was a fantastic IPO, obviously,
amazing.
And we'll definitely talk about that. But let's talk about some futures and get into the watch list, everybody.
So we're going get right into this rundown, which I promise does have SpaceX on it in a pretty prominent position right after we look at these futures.
741 3/4 is where we closed out on Sunday, guys. On the SPY, we're well ahead of that right now, already up 1.25%, pardon me. We're about $10 higher than where we closed out on Friday, and that makes us above the 750 level that we've been talking about for a number of days now as a possible resistance level. Recall, it acted as both a resistance and support level before we cleared it, and then after we cleared it for a number of days. So we're looking right away, 755 as our next area of resistance. If we start selling off for whatever reason, support level number 1 is going to be 750, Adara.
Let's take a look here at our Trader TV Live watch list, which, as always, is the basis for our Trader TV rundown from 9 to 9:30. Every day we're here. You guys can grab this, again, for free. You can use that link. There's also a link here in the description of the video to get free market insights, to look at who's reporting when, any economic data to be aware of. It's got everything for you guys. And near the top of this watch list today, and certainly at the top of our rundown, is SpaceX SPCX. Roaring success here for Elon Musk, making him the world's first trillionaire. Well-received IPO by all accounts.
Up 19.2% on Friday, closing at $160.95. And I just looked, it's now over $2.3 trillion in market cap on its second trading day. Take a bow, Elon. All right, guys. So SpaceX's, I guess, positivity caused a lot of negativity for other space names. You had SPEC drop 31 4/5. Intuitive Machines, LUNR, 13% drop. RKLB also dropped nearly 11% as the liquidity exited those names and entered into the big kahuna SPCX. And now we know also, as a result of the early inclusion of SpaceX in many different indexes, we're going to have a lot of passive buying. That means if you have a 401k retirement portfolio, possibly passively buying there, as well as some of the other ETFs are all going to be picking up and started picking up, in fact, SPCX within hours of the IPO.
Yeah, we also have Ron Barron saying that he's added some shares. You've got Cathie Wood and Elon Musk both speaking already about pretty massive revenue goals for SpaceX heading through 2030. There's a lot of excitement around this IPO. How are you guys approaching day 2, Sean and Neil?
Long. Yeah, there's not many levels to look at. There's the closing price. There's the high that it makes, right? So at the 175 area. There's the close down at 161. There's double barrel support at 158. I think that's the most clear, obvious support level that is at 165. 158, 165, close price. I'm looking for just dip and rip kind of plays on SpaceX, and just to keep it simple, in the off chance, if Virgin Galactic was actually moving today and going up, I'd probably try to fade that. I just still think you can have a little bit of sell on some of the weaker other names, but I just feel like SpaceX, until it proves otherwise, look for the long. And there's been a lot of conversation about valuation in the chat. I get it. It's not like I don't think it's overvalued, but Tesla was overvalued for a very long time as well. And before eventually, people started realizing, hey, this is about the future. You're not necessarily looking at this from a valuation standpoint and thinking that this thing should be less than $1 trillion or whatever that analyst was saying last week. I think it was like 500 or 600. Maybe it was like 700. Whatever it was, doesn't really make a difference. They're gonna have their numbers and their targets. We heard a lot about that for Tesla for a very, very long time. And is it valid when you just crunch the numbers? Sure. And do I think eventually this is going to have a dip? Absolutely, I do. I think it's going to be similar to what ARM did, which we can probably zoom back far enough to be able to see for ARM. Initially, maybe not there. Let's just go to a weekly chart on ARM and keep it simple. Because when ARM debuted, it was good for a couple of days, and then eventually it kind of caught a little bit of selling, made some fresh lows, and then a couple of months later, it had made that bottom and then resumed. So I think something similar happens on SpaceX, but it's just day 2. And for day 2, I want to keep it simple. Dip buys off the key levels that were mentioned. But I do think at some point you're going to get a bit of a reset, but it took weeks for ARM to make its absolute bottom. I think the same thing could be true on SpaceX.
Look, you probably don't know anybody that took more fills than I did on SpaceX on Friday. So I'm going to be here, obviously, all over it today. We had our best day on Friday trading SpaceX, and we'll see if we can. We won't be able to duplicate the numbers we did on Friday, but we'll see if we can have a successful time with it as well. 165 long. I'm just trying to get in, man. We're looking to see where VWAP was going to be at. First trade has to be look long. We did. That's a sticky note right there. We did hit it on Friday, as we talked about it over and over again. We hit the long rate off the open. We hit it. It was so nice. We hit it twice. And then we hit that short again at 171, which brought it all the way down to 160. So we were, $10 or $15, $20 long, $10 short. Lots of opportunities there for SPCX. I'm a buyer. Valuation be damned for me, honestly. I don't really, that's not a thing for me. I'm going to just buy. I want to be long SpaceX. I want to be hella long SpaceX. I think this is a game changer for your portfolios. We called Palantir down there, in the teens. Obviously, we called Marvell in the 60s. I'm, SpaceX here, anywhere between 160 to 150. I mean, I want to just start to buy more and more and more into the portfolio and just get long. I think this is a story that you're not going to be upset if you were able to DCA into this one over the next little while. I mean, I have no idea if we do break back below that 150 or not and what winds up happening, but what a great day it was there on Friday, and I just want to keep the momentum going to the high side there. It's no surprise. Like, today to wake up to, that's why I bought it on Friday, is because, I knew today was going to be possibly an up day, at least to start with. Now, whether or not we fade back out today and we're able to get longer in our own account, that's a different story. But I'm just, we're at VWAP right now, which is 169.50. It's more, the level that I wrote down was 165, and that's a 200 period moving average. So that's sort of what we're going to be looking at here to see if we do get a dip down into those levels. And look, love or hate Elon, I mean, that's really what you're going to be putting your money on. We had Kevin on, and this is just an Elon factory again. So it's like you're just buying the, corporation of Elon here. I forget what the exact terminology everyone's using for that one, but this is what it is, man. Is it a hype machine? Yes, it is. Will it fall down on valuation? Yeah. I mean, some people are going to put out some reports that are going to call this thing way overbought, and they can't possibly mine this or do that or whatever. Probably true. I mean, as of right now, there's no, the blueprints are there to get into space for these data centers and everything like that. And the idea of the colonization of Mars and all these kind of things are all nice to think about. And I'm not the sci-fi nerd here. The man to my right, of course, is. And the thing is that this is all something that's been talked about for a very long time. And I just think, I want to get long. I don't want to put my whole life savings into this thing, needless to say. But to have it be, 1 or 2% of the portfolio, I think is well worth it. So that's what we're going to be doing, man. Maybe rotate some Palantir money over to SpaceX and, just see what winds up happening here. Upgrades, downgrades, going to hit this stock, and I think you just take advantage of that. And if you take the opposite side of what I'm saying, that is great too. I mean, I think there's going to be lots of opportunities. That high of 175, like that could be an awesome short. And if you wanted to get some puts on this name, I mean, options are going to start trading if they haven't already on SPCX. So you're going to have 2 times levered ETFs. It's going to be all over the place. So lots of give and take on this name. And hey, no matter which side of the sort of spectrum of space and this exploration and what SpaceX means, there's going to be lots of trading here. And I think it's, well supported down there at the 150. We'll see if it hits. That was a couple dip buys there at 156. We bought 155, we bought 155, we bought 155 again. So we're going to keep on going with all of that. And here's a good friend of ours. We want to thank all the new subscribers, both on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitch as well, that we've recently had. I mean, we had an explosion of interest on Friday. Thank you for coming back here today. And Adam James Abroad, you're a guy that's always here. JRSH, CTM, AMAH, and CAST are all small cap names running today. So there you go. There's a list of 4 of them you guys can get in there. PDT will be damned. These stocks are running like crazy right now. Poor Randy, we're not going to see him too much. We have to get our own coffees these days. He's over there. There's going to be a whole bunch of renovations on the other side for real trading. So there's Randy. I'm gonna send out a bat call for Randy right now and see if we can get him over here. We should have
like a bat signal for Randy. Like that would be absolutely perfect.
There is. It's our chat. I'm just gonna.
And we just, by the way, we're getting some movement. The Nasdaq's moving a little bit, but Bitcoin just took out the high. Robinhood just took out the high. So a lot of strength out there. There's IBIT taking out the high of the day. We just remember to gotta move my little thing so I can see. Almost at 67. 66,600. So strength in crypto continues in crypto-related names. But that's probably because oil's down. If you haven't noticed, which I hope you have.
Oil's down. President Trump posting here on Truth Social even that ships are starting to move. This was as of a couple minutes ago. Apparently these ships, many of which are loaded up with oil, are moving out of the Strait of Hormuz. And we know the Strait of Hormuz is going to be on watch as earlier this weekend, President Trump announced a deal. It's very, very close here with the U.S. and Iran.
Hopefully signed by Friday, Adair, as they plan to meet in Switzerland. President Trump already on the way to the continent for the G7 summit. Some issues do remain unresolved regarding how much money the U.S. is going to unfreeze of Iranian assets, whether in the Gulf countries or elsewhere. Secondly, we definitely have to keep an eye out on the U.S.-Israeli relationship as reports a very heated call between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu again yesterday, leaking to reporters. And then, of course, the nuclear material, the uranium stockpiles that are apparently under a mountain subsequent to the U.S. attacks there, how those will be treated, where they will go, and who will govern it.
Just be aware, we're still seeing comments coming in, and we had this Truth Social post from Trump. J.D. Vance was speaking on CNBC, comments as well coming from accounts associated with people in the Iranian government. So be aware, lots of headlines still unfolding. Hopefully we get that signature by Friday. How do you guys feel about oil today?
Short.
Yeah, it broke the trend before this even happened. So I'm going to be expressing it looking at crypto and silver longs, but it's the same thing, basically. I think energy down, and we'll go metals up for me, and then crypto up. So we've already talked to like the 37 and 36 fives on IBIT for dip buys. Backup plan over there is to look at silver, which back above the 200 period moving average, by the way, and then holds that support from all the way back into March at 55. So this one, you got 63 as a prior resistance level on any dips, and you've got this 61.8 level. But this and Bitcoin, I think it's pretty simple. You get any spikes in USO, I'll look to revert them by buying the dip in silver and Bitcoin. I'll stick to IBIT, not really going to mess with MSTR or BMNR, which I think will be good plays as well. But whether you think whether you think a deal is happening or not, oil futures have been trending down for quite some time, signaling that. So from just that perspective, the trend is your friend until the end, if it bends. We always say when it bends, but if it bends.
Yeah, I have written here, I just put the sticky note back out there. We have it written down there, USO short 124 area. You know, I was just like, you got to watch this today. You got to watch oil today. And we also have crypto. As crypto, we're going to maybe talk about it. No, it's not on there, but we're going to go long on IBIT as well. So, you know, long on crypto, short on oil. And it just makes sense to me. I don't know what else to talk about. I mean, we're going to have Fed coming out later this week. I mean, there's going to be talk of, I think, of rate cuts, again, coming back into play. So oil should come down on that fear. And then we also have, you know, inflation obviously becoming hopefully under control. I don't know. I mean, a spike in oil does create more inflation issues. And now that this oil is coming back down, that's going to all trigger. I mean, hopefully this all triggers a little flattening out there for the CPI, PPI, and some of the worries there about global inflation, what that's going to mean for GDP and everything like that. Because again, as oil starts to go upside, you do have a problem there with production. But yeah, I think it's been well handled since the start of this war. I mean, we did get as high as 150 on USO. Now you're back down into 120. Things seem a little bit better. I, again, wrote it down when we first opened up here, looking at a 125 to 124 area. We've just kind of done nothing all morning here, so we'll wait. It closes at 2:30, remember. Up to 122 would be something to look at. It's not a whole bunch of volume right now, and it's pretty choppy. So I guess we just got to keep our ear to the ground. We've got Adara back today, so any sort of a ceasefire, you know, break, like, you know, there could be, you know, Iran could attack again. Like, you know, there's still that nuclear problem there where they've been talking about how it's not all over until we come up with sort of an idea about destabilization of the nuclear project over there, the program in Iran. And then you do have President Trump, as Sharif mentioned there, sort of having a little bit of words with Netanyahu, and Israel and the United States don't seem to be on the same page. So I do think that oil is going to remain volatile, although this morning you wouldn't really be able to tell. It's back and forth in about $1 range. So down 4.5%, 5% today for USO. And again, you know, the symbol CL, we just have to, I don't know what it is, March, April, June, July, maybe it's the August contract. Right now down to $79 here with 22,000. So, you know, you're starting to see a little bit of a push down here now in oil. There it was $83 per barrel, down to 79 right now. So, you know, a nice push back in for oil proper and related obviously in USO. So, yeah, man, I mean, Excited to be here to trade that today. You know, other looks, to have a quick look. I mean, Randy, again, was always pumping the sort of the tires of XOM. And if you do think that there's going to be some value in holding a 3% dividend, I don't. I think this comes down even further. I think it tests 135 and maybe gets back into this 115, 120 area. And then I think it's a screaming buy. I mean, we've seen the strength in XOM when oil goes back up to the upside. And I still, you know, with Ukraine and Russia, and there's so much more uncertainty still in this world, and I'm not, again, convinced that, you know, the whole Venezuela, we don't know what's happening next there. And as President Trump says, you know, they have lots of oil, so the higher the price of oil goes, the more money is made in the United States. So there's definitely something to look at here as the price goes up and down. So I like XOM, but I'd wait for it to come back in about 20 bucks lower and then look to add some to the portfolio. I don't really have too much invested in XOM, and I just hold XLE, but I hold it in Canada. That's a different one for Canada. It's ZEO, I think, for that, and that's just a dividend payer, and same as XLE. But this is, you know, come off its highs as well, $62 down to 55. So we'll wait for XLE and some of these oil ETFs, as I like them all. Just a little bit sleepy right now. Ooh. To the downside anyways, so hopefully you're not too loaded up there. All right, man, 2% still on the NASDAQ. It's 9:15. Part of what's happening in the NASDAQ is what we're going to see right here. There's rebalancing happening coming up, and that does include Nebius and CoreWeave. So let's go get the story at the desk, and then we'll look to see if there's a trade.
The NASDAQ actually welcoming 5 new members as of June 22nd, Nebius and CoreWeave among them. There are some pretty heavy-hitting names in this list.
There are, Darren. 4 of them are directly adjacent to the AI trade. We're talking Astera Labs, high-speed data connectivity for chip makers. We're talking CoreWeave, NeoCloud, Nebius, AIM, NeoCloud. Then RKLB, of course, that's a global commercial launch service, obviously space-related. But then we got Teradyne Systems, also an automated testing equipment giant for semiconductors. So AI front and center into the additions. Coming out, you got Charter Communications, Cognizant Technologies, Insamed Incorporated, INSM, for anybody who's interested there, and Verisk Analytics, as well as Zscaler as well. That is coming out. But because the NASDAQ 100, which these names are going into and coming out of, is tracked by over $800 billion in global assets under management, kind of these swaps will spark massive forced trading volumes. So they got to remove the outgoing names and put in the incoming names before the open on June 22nd. So look out for some passive buying as well as passive selling, Adair.
And these names certainly going to be on watch here on Thursday after the close, or at the close rather. Are you guys watching them today?
Yeah, well, I mean, Rocket Lab for sure. I don't know if you get a shot at $100 again, but that's got $100 is just a psychological number, and it's also got a bit of a bounce level. I feel like it's also in play because of, let's be real, SpaceX. So it had the pullback, you had the run on, you had basically the run up on the SpaceX news, and then the sell-off here, because it was a sell the news on SpaceX, kind of overshadowed the addition to the NASDAQ, which I think gives it a chance to catch a bit of a bid here. So I like the 100 area this week, at least going into the addition. It's so far away from it here, up 5% and catching that bounce. I don't know if we get that dip buy in, but there's buyers and support down there, and I think that's the way to play it. Just look for some dip buy opportunities as opposed to getting, oh, it's going in the NASDAQ 100. It has to go up this week. Like, it's not true of CoreWeave. It doesn't even have to go up on Thursday afternoon, right? Like, and consider the fact that a lot of times when you get the inclusion or run up because of an inclusion to an index, you can get a sell off after the fact as they sell the news. But yeah, Rocket Labs off 100 looks good to me this week, especially given that it got beaten up mostly because of the SpaceX sell the news story for all of those names, and that really overshadowed the addition. Hey, hi trader. Good morning, beauties and the beasts.
So I'll take the beauty part. The other guys are just a bunch of beasts around here. Well, me and Adara will take the beauty part. Neil and Sharif can be the beasts of the East. Yeah, no, thank you very much for that one. Hi, trader. Hi to you guys as well. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll, and thank you again for all the super chats. And thank you for the continued love You know, we had such a huge show. We had over 40,000 at one point watching on Friday, and we broke YouTube. So we want to say thank you to everybody for that one. Look, I think CoreWeave continues to work. I mean, Nebius has been obviously a little bit of a better trade as they're over there in Europe, a little bit quicker on the build-outs and everything. But I think CoreWeave works here as well. I mean, you never really want to buy something because it's getting added to an index. That seems to make it go the other way around. So, you know, it's like trade the rumor, sell the news, and I think that'll eventually happen to CoreWeave, but I think you have a good little runway here today, breaking through the 200 period moving average. And again, you like the name, I think this could be a forever hold. You know, just wait for it to break 90. I don't, the upside in all of these trades, NBIS, I mean, it's just, there's been so much money made over just believing in something and holding it, that I don't see why you can't just do that again. I mean, this name was back in here in March was 90 bucks, man. It's 250 today, let alone what it was last year at this time. You're talking about in the 40s and 50s, 250 today. Can we have a similar upside? Yeah, I think there can be continued movement. I mean, you saw what SNDK, and we're going to talk about Micron and all these names now, just continue to work and continue to get to all-time highs. Why can't these names? And I would say they can. So again, the dog that wags the tail is going to be Nvidia. I'm not even really looking at Nvidia today. I think this is very heavy stock. You know, so many names, so many people in this name. It just takes a little bit to get it moving, but when it does, it goes. We've seen that happen before. So for me, I really think that you hit your wagon to Nvidia, but, and I'm just going to show again, like, IREN has just been quite the winner off of some of those levels as well. Like, if you're going to go long on some of these names, it's an IREN world, it's an ARM world, there's so many different stocks that continue to outpace what Nvidia is doing, including those two that we have on the screen right there, CoreWeave, Nebius, and all those other ones, Coherent, Lumentum is another name as well, IRDM, another great name to get involved in as well, back up to the upside. Hopefully that name can resume moving higher here as well as the space names and these sort of AI names continue to climb higher. So yeah, I think I'm trying to get all in on this race to the top, and I think the top is still, you know, a ways from here. So yeah, I'm excited about all these names, and I don't actually own any CoreWeave or any Nebius or, you know, any Coherent or anything like that. I'm a Marvell kind of guy with Nvidia right now, and then most recently bought into IREN, and so quantum names going too. Lots of opportunities.
They got great news in quantum too.
To get going. So all right, let's go back over the desk. We'll start talking about Micron, another sector that apparently won't be stopped
ever.
Completely ever.
It's not just Micron, of course, that is going, as Sean and Neil alluded to, DRAM. Here's what this looks like. Really strong SNDK, poised to open above 2100 for the first time in its history. WDC and Sandgate all to the upside, but Micron's the one that's giving the analyst love this morning, Sharif.
Yeah, RBC as well as others, well, RBC specifically here, reiterating their outperform rating on Micron, but boosting the price target up big from $525 to $1,200. That is one of the most aggressive bullish calls in the semiconductor sector. The firm here, specifically RBC, is arguing that the current memory cycle is fundamentally different from the prior boom and bust cycles where we had a glut of inventory and then not enough of it, as the cyclicality of that industry was well known. It's saying, look, this cyclicality is being kind of killed off by the AI infrastructure demand rather than the traditional PC and smartphone demand, which had traditionally defined the boom and bust cycles within this industry. They also believe that supply constraints are going to remain very much a headwind for supply into 2027. So something to look out there. And they're saying data centers now account for over half of the revenue for RAM and RAM-related names, so we'll see if this becomes an even bigger story, Adara.
Are you guys watching Micron or any of the other names in this space today?
I think what I'd be looking for is the all-time high break on DRAM, right? Like if you're looking for follow-through in both those names, it's a little bit trickier to be super bullish into overhead resistance. So when you look at Micron today, when you look at SNDK today, if there's like one thing hanging on, it would be that like the DRAM 70 top, you're within a percentage, like 1.5 points of that range. If I see it starting to break out above, and this will be about 70-20 when you look at the actual high, you start to get past there, then I would look for some continuation. But otherwise, you know, there's enough to be bullish on, at least for myself. Like if you're already looking at SpaceX and Robinhood and silver and crypto, almost said silver and gold. Keep wanting to say silver and gold. Silver and Bitcoin as well. So I'm going to stay away just because you're in that overhead resistance up at that top. Micron's going to be very close to it. It could get there today. I'd be much more interested in a post-breakout play on DRAM as opposed to trying to break it in this morning. So just for today, but tomorrow you're very likely looking at that breakout and a little more explosion.
Yeah, for me, the only thing that I have in this space, and it's not even in the same space, but it's going to be Intel. So, you know, Intel have a double upgrade last week there with Bank of America. You know, looking to see if we can fall back into Friday's close. I don't know, man. The Nasdaq being up 2% today. I mean, obviously we get good news there in the Middle East. Is it a 2% kind of a day? I don't know. So we'll just wait to see if we're going to be right or wrong about what winds up happening here with the Nasdaq. And I just think Intel has had some quite violent moves. It wasn't Friday, no, because I wasn't looking at it on Friday, but this is what was happening there on Thursday when Intel was upside down. It was like a huge move up and then a big move down into 110, right? And then that 110 was just bought up, you know, like crazy. And then on Friday, we did have a nice move higher there. You can see sort of the trend definitely to the high side, and it looks like we do have some potential kind of support right around here, and that was the 125 that we wrote down. So it's up right now. It's on the note, 125 long. You guys can go find it. There's the imbalances that are just out right now on the Nasdaq, so we can have a quick little look-see and, you know, figure out what's going on right now, if there's anything moving more. Wow. There's SpaceX with a 4 million buy.
You don't see that
right there. You don't see that very often. So giddy up on that one as we're starting to get going there. And you know, we knew the SpaceX was going to be an active name today, needless to say, so that's on there. We have IBIT as a sell for Bitcoin, so we'll talk about Roku and Fox in just a minute, but that's not stopping IBIT. I mean, IBIT's still upside, right? Remember, a little sell in IBIT. IBIT is moving around with this. So this is crypto down here at Bitcoin. Well, you can't see it now, but all right. I wouldn't buy it all the way up here at these levels. Just added AER to my buses or to my buses. Is that what he means?
Oh, buses that you missed.
Right. I catch the bus. Gotcha. Yeah, so that's another one. So exactly. So I missed IREN for sure, and it came back in twice. Gave it to you. You got it. If you missed Meta because you were all mad about it, that's even lower than it's been. Microsoft, same kind of ways, right? There's lots of opportunities, and I don't think anybody missed SpaceX either. But there's your AEHR you mentioned there. It's what you want to get into. Oh yeah, this we know about this name. 1-800 $118. 1-800. Right there for AEHR. Yeah, it looks like you did miss this one. Off of $100 up to 120 right now. There it goes. So that's a good little look there, trying to break out as well. And then Nvidia with the buy side. Everything's starting to bump up. There goes the Nasdaq. We said, hey, is the Nasdaq an up or down day? Looks like right there with those imbalances, just kicking it off into day's high one more time there for the NQs. And you're now approaching, guys, like getting close to all-time highs again. Right now for the Nasdaq, up another 2% here today. So there we go. The level to look for here on the Qs is 750. I think that's very possible to get to that today. You're at 739, 740 right now. So watch out for the Qs, trying to get to 750. All right, it's Roku and Fox, a deal that some shareholders will like and some won't. And I think it's, if you start with an F, you may not like this deal.
Yeah, FOXA here, Sean, as Sean was alluding to, gapping down, but ROKU trying to trade higher here as we get some talks that Fox A will be acquiring Roku for $160 cash and stock deal.
Yeah, Sean brings up a fantastic point there. Some people will like this, some people won't. And why? Because it's not just a cash offer. So if you're the shareholder of the acquired or the acquiring company, or even the acquired company, you have to ask yourself two questions. First and foremost, is what I'm getting on a cash basis sufficient for my shares as they're currently valued? And question two, do I want to be part of the combined company? That changes your fundamental thesis. Your investment thesis changed markedly because you take on all these new parameters. So something to think about there. But there's also $12 billion here that's being loaned out by Morgan Stanley just to get the cash component of this buyout deal through to the gate. And that's really going to hurt, I believe, Fox's leverage. They're going to go from a basically ultra-safe 0.4 times to a very highly levered 3.3 times at the close of this deal. There's also, you know, being made here, Roku's going to bring in $400 million in long-term run cost savings. Yeah, eventually, but there's going to also be $400 million that has to be spent by Fox on the integration of Tubi and Roku. So something to think about there. And then last but not least, while their very, very aggressive growth strategy in terms of digital ad sales attracted Fox, one thing that's dissuading some investors on the Fox side is the very, very bad smart TV and streaming stick hardware manufacturing supply chain, which continues to bleed money, Adair.
Yeah, are you guys adding Fox and or Roku to your watch list today?
Not really. I think if you're a Fox shareholder, then you're like, give it the 2 or 3 day rule. The acquirer, when you get the cash portion, or mostly stock or a lot of stock portion, you're going to get hit. They're dinged 13% and not looking very good. And then Roku, if you're trying to trade that one, just remember it's going to loosely follow both, the whole arbitrage, but the other side of it's going to follow Fox. There must have been a small buy imbalance that just popped up and immediately got paired up, but Alphabet took a jaunt to the upside here, cracking $370 for a couple of seconds and then right back in. So the bullish, there's a lot that's bullish to add these guys to the list. It broke through Friday's high. It's not on my radar, but it should be on everybody's radar in a general sense. This could be a re-break this week of the 50-period moving average if it actually gets through that 72 to 75 zone. So worth a watch from that regard. Going to be looking at SpaceX and Robinhood off of the open. Is the opening bell brought to you by VinFast. That's ticker VFS. Shout out to them and want to thank them for sponsoring today's open. Might be a holiday shortened week, but we're not light on action or names that are moving. As we said, adding a name like Google out of nowhere to the list.
Yeah, no, we're excited here today. So SpaceX trying to get going. Unfortunately, my level 2s won't change for some reason right now. So yeah, we're having a little bit of quote issues for sure. But all right, so there goes. I can't switch quotes right now, so I don't know what's going on.
We were just.
I think we might be temporarily down a little bit right now. So I'm waiting for SpaceX. The high was 176.50. I'm going to punch long 176.50 if we do wind up breaking that level. So we're getting ready to rock and roll right now. Do we have quote issues or?
There might be some. Quotes are coming back, but I'm having execution issues.
Okay, so we're going to wait. Here goes SpaceX right now. It looks like it does want to break through some key levels here. SPCX trying to get going through 175 right now. Lots of volume. Already 23 million shares on SPCX. So I'm waiting to break the top, which was 176.50. We'll try that long and just see if that wants to go. Hey, look, if we fail on there, we'll give it a couple bucks. We'll be able to, quickly punch out. But that's 176.50. Nice move higher there for SpaceX to start the day. So giddy up, man. We're in the money on those shares right now, but nothing on the show yet. And so that's what's going on there. Intel up to 130 again. Yeah, it looks like we're fine now. IBIT as well coming back in just a little bit, but not enough for me. Wait for VWAP, waiting for the 200 period at 37. We wrote down 36.50, but that's, when we were down there. We've had a nice move up higher here in the 200 periods back down to 37.20. So yeah, man, everything is a risk. And right now we're going to be trading some risk on items as we look at USO into the oil space, 120 and change. Looking for a little bit of a pop right there. There goes the NASDAQ, man. The NASDAQ go boom, and so does SpaceX. And I don't know if RKLB.
Oh, wow, Hood. I still can't.
Yeah, Robinhood. Yeah, well, 66 and change right now. Yeah, it's slow to change.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow with the quote. But
Rocket
100 just got taken out there on Robinhood.
Oh, good. Nice.
As maybe you could still get a little bit of a dip into VWAP. That's a possibility. I know the airlines are going boom. Remember, we said this is not just all tech that's going higher. You've got airlines strong. You've got cruise lines strong. CCL with a big bounce. Hey, if the strait's going to open up and the war is going to be over, then I think that's going to be a little bit of exuberance as well. Back into the metals are finally, they're trying to break out. If you're looking for dip buys at the open, it's for some profit taking, you're just not seeing it anywhere. There's nothing that isn't going parabolically higher. So the first thing that could happen, you could get that break on SpaceX. That has not been the case just yet. USO just not really doing much of anything. Uh-oh, I just went to Blue Ocean on that one. USO not doing much of anything. Very sideways, but this has been somewhat normal for oil. We've just a lot of sideways play until you get headline to headline. So I wouldn't overreact to that. Hood's just gone at this point. Might have to go. IBIT could be the first available thing, only because Bitcoin's not doing all that much. It's just going sideways off some of the highs, and it's close enough to VWAP that could be a bit of a thing if it dips. 37.7 here, chance to catch it off VWAP if we can get it. But the Nasdaq's at 2.5% already. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, there's no stopping this thing, as we keep on saying here. And we don't, I'm not saying it lightly. Like, I do think that the NASDAQ does have a big move inside of it today, and we'll just have to wait to see where it is. But Nvidia is starting to go up 2.5% as well. So there's another name that gives us some hope that, hey, man, maybe there is some more bids here today into the space. So, yeah, the NASDAQ going higher. Let's give it a shot. If Nvidia does come back into 209, we'll try to buy that. That's where VWAP is. We're going to wait for that to come through. SpaceX went exactly to 175 again. That's why we are looking at that key top level. And, yeah, fades off of that. So maybe getting ready to get into some SPCX here. I'm trying to let it have some sort of price discovery because we still have some bad quotes here on the NASDAQ book, so we'll have to try to figure that out. But right now, just up and down, a lot of volume coming into SpaceX, over 30 million shares. It has fallen back in through VWAP right now, looking to retest a low of the day. 168 is your 200 period moving average, so you know a little bit of a dip buy opportunity potentially for SpaceX coming in around 170. So that could be something that we look out for here on SPCX. And again, thanks everybody. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're here all day today looking at all of these names. I haven't been into one thing yet. Waiting for Nvidia to come back in a little bit. Apple started to go. I saw in the pre-market off a little bit of an imbalance, but that came right back in. Now right back to the upside. So pretty choppy open. It looks like the NASDAQ may be due for a little bit of a pullback. Marvell was approaching 3 bills as well, but that just, okay, that actually breaks 300 and now is coming back in. I'm getting a feeling that this
ARM as well
NASDAQ might be weak.
Remember ARM had that random sell-off in the pre-market all the way down to 370? Well, maybe it wasn't so random because ARM just flush citied off of the open down into that same 370. Remember, there was no news story here. It was just a random spike, at least nothing we could find. This is what the market at the high. So, you know, ARM looking definitely like a weak name in here. Keep your ear to the ground. I know Adair is going to be all over it if we catch a story, but it's hard for me to believe that there's nothing going on here with ARM. It's just way too much selling for sure. But we do see the halts. There's a couple of halters off the open as well. And we'll get to that super chat in a second.
The one thing based on the timing that I've seen some people say could be maybe part of why ARM is moving, at least initially, was Nvidia considering that bond sale, but that's really iffy. I have not seen anything else resembling a story on ARM, just confusion as to the drop.
Okay. All right, and we have the CUPR, which is, it's making a super move to the upside. 211%, that's Cuprina Holdings. Right now the tap is saying, am I getting a tap? Oh, okay, it's saying flat. Right, so it's actually saying, indicating an open at the actual halt price. So nothing too crazy, but up 210%. This is another one of your small cappers going absolutely nuts. Bitcoin is determined not to move at this point. Like, you're up so much, you thought there'd be something. Like, you break the high, dip, do something. Like, it's just going absolutely sideways. I expect this to be a mover today, no question about it. And even silver, like this, it's absolutely sideways as well as the market just continues to push higher and higher and higher. All right, Robinhood's at least starting to come back in. That could be something. The hooded one back through the 100 level. Maybe we can get this dipping into this 98 level, and then we can finally grab something to jump into.
Well, here's a name that we've been all over for a while, of course, and that's going to be SMR. So there goes SMR, man. And I've been trying to talk about this for a minute, and I'm glad that we have been, because there it goes. I mean, it was a good level down here, I thought, at $9-10. So we didn't get into a whole bunch, but there goes SMR back up to the upside right now. I still think uranium is in early days, obviously, as these guys aren't making money, and it's actually probably embarrassing if you sort of open up the books. But, you know, right now, the market is rewarding SMR as nuclear names back up to the upside. You know, we had space have their little bit of a run. Now you're having nuclear trying to go for a run as well. Like I said before, you could have some quantum that starts to, you know, play the game back up to the upside soon. I don't, you know, the space race is on, but there goes Rigetti. We talked about quantum, we talked about nuclear, and then, you know, SpaceX, just to give you guys an update on that, as I'm sure a lot of you are still interested in it. There's actually the bounce off of the 200 period moving average, and unfortunately wasn't necessarily looking at that. How about a break of 170 now on SpaceX to see if we can get back into the upside and then use that as our little bit of a launching pad, so to speak, there for SpaceX. Maybe give it a couple bucks. It's low right now is 169.50. So we'll see what happens here on a break of 170. We'll see if we can get SpaceX to go back up to the upside on a nice little bounce there of 168. We can, if it goes through, we'll try to punch long, but there it is. Looks like there was some sellers there in and around 170. So now that we're into that, let's stop out at 167, 50s. If it breaks lower, that 168 maybe gets, looked at one more time. But here we go. We're into this name, man. First trade for me today would be in a SpaceX long, and there it is. So there's 75 cents right now. We'll just go sirens up as this one's trying to go. We'll sit at 171, see if we can make $1 right there real quick on SpaceX. And like I said, man, really traded this on Friday, and we nailed the long and the short. So we're feeling it pretty good right now, but lack of price discovery, man. This is only day 2. So see if we can play the momentum. We just waited. We waited pretty patiently to get back into this name. So we're long SpaceX. It's starting to work out for us to the upside right now.
There it is. And as the market continues to at least attempt to go higher here, we're trying to break down here on Robin. Okay, we were catching a bit off 99. Looks like this one could finally be jumping off a little bit here. Still a little bit slow with the messaging. I don't know about you. All right, so just jumped in off of this higher low on Robinhood, and watch out because Bitcoin's also trying to make a little bit of a jaunt back in to the downside. So tracking both of these, I don't think you have to be in both at once, but VWAP here on Bitcoin or IBIT is trying to hold. Someone was just asking me, why do you talk about IBIT? Because we have equity accounts here, and with equity accounts, it's just easier to trade IBIT than direct crypto. But you can trade Bitcoin proper at real trading. 100%. And watch out, like the market is starting to come off of some of those highs. So I want to play this back into the 98.5 zone on Robinhood as my first jaunt of the day. And then the second one might be silver, it might be Bitcoin, but it won't be Bitcoin until after Robinhood resolves itself. It needs to hold that 98.5, the opening range bar, as the NASDAQ is really holding up much better than crypto. Like Bitcoin just lost VWAP, Robinhood's kind of doing the same. It might not be the moment for crypto, I don't think. I have to jump out of that one. It was number 2 on my list, but sort of is what it is. Could have gone over into IBIT, but the same thing happened. That's why it has to be one, not both. Because I feel like if one was going to go down, both were going to go down at the same time. So I'm not going to take them both at the same moment, but looking at a little bit of weakness coming back into crypto. And the only name I had short on my list, and which he didn't even make the list, it was if we got pops in something like a Virgin Galactic, and that's barely even moving. I might jump over and flat bottom break this one to the downside. It was the only thing that I really wanted to the south side was I guess a sympathy play. Because if SpaceX goes up, this is just not going with it.
All right, way to get out of that Robinhood real quick. Like we took advantage of that dip. Took a little bit of a bid on Nvidia right here. So yeah, right now we were just in the money 50 cents. We did take some out there as it came right back up into VWAP again. So that's a good little marker there for me. We'll take another mark out as it is at VWAP. So there it is. Yes, sir. Here we go, man. Oh boy, starting to get a little bit exciting now on Nvidia. And we take a little more risk with Nvidia than we do with SpaceX. We're very comfortable right now with Nvidia, and SpaceX, as we said, needs to figure it out before it is really leveled into for me anyways as a trade, right? We want to see some levels, let it trade a couple minutes. But there goes SpaceX. We took some out, three outs actually up here at 171, but here it comes fading back in a little bit. I'm still going to buy some 168.50s if it does like sort of come into those levels, but that's one thing that I want to look at is SpaceX down there and see if we're able to get something around 168, and then if it breaks 168, then we are gone. So far so good here today. We got a nice little win there on SPCX, and here it goes upside for Nvidia. We just got a nice fill on Nvidia just a second ago at 209.80s. So take advantage of that right into your 25 period moving average there for Nvidia, and then also some of those looks into day's high type of thing. So not too bad there as we continue to go back and forth with some of the trading today. The other name on here I had was Intel, INTC. So again, thank you everybody. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, man. We're here every single day, except for Juneteenth. Whenever there's a U.S. holiday, we are not. There goes Intel. I wrote down 125. I'm currently bidding 126. That's didn't come in. That only went to 127.50, but there goes Intel, man. A lot of upside on INTC right now as they got the double upgrade last week, and here we go to the top side again. And there goes Nvidia, 130. Oh, sorry, it was SpaceX that we just got a little look on there as our net sort of popped upside. I'm gonna take another out here at 69s or 70s. We'll offer that. We'll take it out, and here goes SpaceX. See if it can get into the dollar club. We just got to break through 171, and that's there. So far so good here today. Trading SpaceX with nothing but love for that on the upside for me. Now up 6% on SPCX, and Nvidia still doing its own thing. We don't have any halts yet. We have what is RGNT?
There was a couple small cappers on halts.
Was there? What else was there?
It was the CUPR.
AIBZ.
CUPR is trying to halt. Oh, my chat just crashed.
All right.
Oh snap! I just got the, that message of death, like the oh snap, it's just hating on you.
I don't like that message.
Nah, I don't like it, but it is what it is. So Robinhood, we'll take our second shot at it. If I can flip, there we go. Thank you.
Stop orders in here.
Flip stops. So made another bounce. Like this one's alongside. We'll try to play it off the support that we can get until we break underneath 96. I'm going to take every single curl that we can. This one, 97.75 is going to be effectively the out. But if it gets to VWAP this time, like I'm going to respect that 99. Right, like the volume weighted average price, the 99 level. If we're going to have false breakout, then I want to make sure we're profiting back into that volume weighted average price here. And with crypto looking a little bit weak, or Bitcoin looking a little bit weak, I also want to respect that as well. So we're going to take profit out on the way up just to make sure that we lock in a little something on Robinhood. SpaceX, I like this if it can get above VWAP. I was thinking 165 on SpaceX, like these weren't levels for me, but if it busts through VWAP, yes. Or if we get the 165 level, that's still going to be in play for me there on SPCX. Looking incredibly strong in the market, and part of that is a name that we didn't even talk about. Apple was the dead one. Not so dead anymore, is it? 295 up a point and continuing to go higher. So what is dead may certainly not die.
There it goes right now. Now $2 in. There goes SpaceX, man. Huge trade alert, obviously. I mean, not huge amount of shares, but it depends on where we go, how big this trade will be. But now we are in the money, 270 here on SpaceX as it finally breaks through that 170 with some kind of conviction. I'm up at 173.50 here. See if we get one more spike. I'm going to take out a little bit more here at 172.94. So there it goes. Yes, sir. All right, man. There's our daily goal. Based on what we did on Friday, we should definitely be changing it, but we're not doing that. We're just going to stay with what we're doing, try to make a little bit of money here today again, and we've done that with SpaceX. So take another piece out. I still have more than half of this trade on right now, so we're still loving life on this one, but we're still trying to wait for 173.50. Did we get it? No, we did not yet. So 173.50, there it goes, man. Now 250 in the money on SPCX, and a good trade back here for Nvidia as well. Let's get a little bit more out in the 40s here for NVDA. We just missed. We were waiting at this 50 period at 86. And we just missed it. It actually went down to 90s there and no more. But that's a good one here. As there it goes, man. Let's go, SpaceX, mooning right now, so to speak. As we go, if we get 173.50s, that's my next offer. It looks like we just bounced off of that. I'm going to put an offer there in the 60s. We'll take that. Let's less our shares at 173.50. Sure, go ahead, man. We do have that super chat up right now. I'm just busy doing my thing over here.
UWMC inflation sensitive good swing.
You tell me, bada bing.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're doing fundamental research on whether you think that you're going to have a good swing on something if rates are going in the other direction, like, I always say the same thing with a bottom picker. I don't like trying to catch bottoms on a stock. If I'm looking in the downward trend, I always look for the continuation play personally. Like if it gets back above like 50 period moving average, rounded bottom, double bottom, something that isn't, well, it made a low and it's up for a day kind of deal. So again, like you have to have your own conviction. I just generally prefer when you can break out above 50 periods or break out above prior lows and then catch a second wave as opposed to guessing on the first. 'Cause I feel like that first wave, so many times it gets in a downtrend for a reason. Like, here's an example. Like Robinhood, there's your low, rounded bottom, hold the 50 period, and now breaking out. Instead of trying to be like in here, you try to grab these types of longs. That's just my cup of tea. But speaking of that, it is still trying to get to that volume weighted average price. It's gone at the most about 60, 70 pennies in the money, but hasn't been able to crack that 99 and VWAP look yet. And part of the reason for that is, heck, IBIT actually looks like a short at this point. Like it's holding lower highs underneath VWAP. And that's not strong at all. So until this gets above VWAP, I don't want to be adding on anything crypto related. We also have lunch 911 caught Meta up. Thank you, everyone. Hey, good for Meta if it can finally start to show some signs of strength. That's been not Apple, man. Meta's been the dead one, but I need that 600 level. If there's no buyers above 600, then it's kind of muted expectations here if you can't really get past that 600 when you pull out that daily chart. But congrats, 4% up here for Meta. That's better than the overall market, so Meta on one, definitely.
All right, everybody. Yeah, we're just doing what we're doing here still, and it's just watching out. I mean, we're still at 173.40 now on SpaceX. The high, we sort of got there the last little break there. We didn't get through 173.50, so we'll sit a little bit ahead of that. Maybe there is a key level here at 173. It seems to be bouncing its head off of that, and still $3 on this. And we did. We put on 1 unit there or so on that initial break of one, not initial break, but it came back in, bounced there. We wanted to wait to give it some time, so we did give it a little bit of time, and we got long there at 938. And again, I just put it out. We do have our node out every single day, and the #1 trade is the long on SpaceX. Then we have the long here on Intel, which we miss. Long on IBIT, maybe I got to look back, but another good trade. Like we're going to go 2 for 2 here today, and that involves, obviously, there it goes. Yes, we just get it right there. Bang, 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 and yeehaw! As there goes SpaceX. Now we're 350 in the money, and it's going larger here as we're in charge now with this SpaceX trade, as it looks like the bulls have won today so far, up 7 and a bit percentage points. And there it goes, man. Boom, boom, boom. There goes SpaceX up to 173 and change. As we just get more and more fills on that one, there's our 173.50, so out there as well. And then an out on Nvidia, as that's 50 cents. So we're $4 in right now as we just continue to watch these names fly around, man. It's SpaceX, it's Nvidia, it's day 2 right now of this well-received and very successful IPO that now paves the way for OpenAI, paves the way for Anthropic. And I said, man, I'm more confident than ever right now on what we're doing. So 174 now, let's offer some more out. There it is, we'll take another out here at 174 to lock in that $4 or so. And we still have a third left of this trade. So yeah, we're working it pretty good now. Actually, a little bit more than a third left on this trade, so about 40% as we continue to make upside plays on SpaceX and just trying to hold a little longer. I don't know how far this name's gonna go today, but I think a lot further than where we are now. So we're gonna sit there, watch out. There goes 174, 175, 176.20s, the high from Friday. We shorted Friday right there at 171. We brought it all the way to the downside, but today we flip up that game and we now go long on SpaceX. So we were long off the open, we were short into the close, we nailed SpaceX Friday. It looks like it'll be the #1 P&L name for me here today again, SPCX. It's still early, we have no idea, I don't know what's gonna wind up happening, but I'm gonna take another piece now at 174 and just lock in some of this and just create another positive vibe day here on Monday. So hopefully you guys are all having a great time. Yeah, Dell's going off right now. CUPR is a name that a lot of traders are looking at. I see
it halted a second.
They're in the chat, so there it is, man. What was the name of this one?
Cuperina?
Yeah,
Cuperina.
Cuperina Holdings came
Cuperina.
in there. So yeah, nice move higher there as, yeah, Cuperina starting to caprese salad to the upside. I really like caprese salad. All right, 209.50. I'm going to get a little bit more out here on Nvidia because why not, man? We're just sort of topping off the day here. It's been a good one so far.
Yeah, Robinhood's not the one, man. It's not holding out at all. It's looking relatively weak. So we took a second stab at it. It got halfway to VWAP, but couldn't continue. You're still seeing lower highs. So I want to stay away from that. I said if we were going to get to the upside, I would fade Virgin Galactic. If it got brought up, it did. So it came right into 420, which was that prior high in here. So we jumped into the short when it broke the trend, trying to add to it if I can. But just because Robinhood couldn't go, Bitcoin is still looking okay. It's now back above the volume weighted average price. So if Bitcoin's going to be stronger than Robinhood, so be it. Like them both, but if one's going to be better than the other, once you close above VWAP, I'm going to jump into the long there. So yeah, the one thing I like short, we're going to see. If SpaceX goes down, I think Virgin Galactic is toast. And even if SpaceX goes up, I still feel like this one can get right back into that 390 level. It did hold in the afternoon down here, but that still gives you, a good, decent runway. Remember, it's a $4 stock. So if it goes 410 to 390, you got to like that one back in through the downside. So looking at this NASDAQ at 3%, at some point, you really have to think that Bitcoin is going to contribute here. It's a little surprising to me that it's not going anywhere, but I feel like that's just a matter of time before this one explodes.
All right.
Iron made an acquisition today?
I don't know. I love Iron though. I should do some more research on that if that's exactly what's happening.
I'll double check.
Who knows? But yeah, right there. I mean, 99 problems trading today and on Friday was not one. And there we go, man. 2 for 2. We should have just reloaded some Nvidia down there. We tried. I mean, I'm sitting at 86. We tried to get that. That could have been another dollar. We're trying to get a dollar on this. If we can finally break through to 10, that would have to happen for that to be true. But again, just picking on some names that we like, man. I mean, I'm a big cap kind of guy. We like to trade a little bit of the futures as well, so we'll see what's going on there. But as Neil said, it's a lot of buy side right now into the NASDAQ. So giddy up as we continue to watch out for more plays higher. Still trying to make some money everywhere where we can. I mean, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac not really moving around. We're looking at some pink sheet names there today as well. That's up 3% right here. Maybe making a move on this one. President Trump has called these guys out for potentially going public and trying to get some money back. Okay, here we go. Come on, SpaceX. Now you're trying to moon. That's a good one there. Into 174.30. I'm going to offer that out. We'll take another piece out now on SpaceX. And my next offer, I don't have one. So let's go to 176 right now and see if there's an opportunity to get some out on the upside of 176. So there it is, man. 170 dip buy opportunity on SpaceX. I mean, if it's on the note, we're probably going to trade it. At least a couple of those names. So there's SpaceX long right there into the account today. Not much else is hitting on my imbalance or my locator right now. If you guys call up that visualizer, we can definitely have a look to see what other names all of you want to look at. CoreWeave is on there as well. Okay, we could definitely look at that. Here's Cerebras, up 2.5%. Did have a move down lower as well. Not all IPOs are treated the same. As you can see, SpaceX Moon, Cerebras crushed. So we'll see if this is a possible play there for our good friend SpaceX, because here's the move down, right? I mean, this is day 2 on Cerebras. It got smoked pretty badly on day 2, right? So, just I wasn't here for it, but I'm not really seeing the liquidity vacuum.
It was like $20 off the open first.
Right. So
basically.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. Like, we're not really seeing a death sort of spike or anything like that on SpaceX. If anything, we're going the complete opposite way. But yeah, Iran, whether or not did you find out there was a deal? I mean,
they completed an acquisition of Nostrum Group, expanding AI cloud platform in Europe, but so that was in the pre-market, like at 7 a.m. So that's not like it didn't hit like after the open or anything. That was deep into the pre-market for IREN. So have you seen it move around? Absolutely, there was. I just saw someone put it in the chat. We thought we'd get you the news on that one just to confirm. As the market heads higher, Virgin Galactic is starting to break down a little bit here. So if SpaceX false breaks, I suspect, and comes down, this is going to crater. But the fact that this is going to remain weak, it just makes sense to me. I would not pick on Rocket Lab. I just think Virgin Galactic is just a different beast. They don't really have that much of a viable business at all. And be careful at these highs. I just saw AMD, and that was really starting to like crest at the top. Like, look how strong it goes into the highs. Now you got a couple of red candles, a little bit of a trend break happening on AMD. So the market's getting a bit top heavy as we go to the desk to Adara for the first time.
Seeing some info here on SPCX. Apparently, according to SpaceX, their underwriters fully exercised their IPO overall allotment option. Apparently, underwriters exercising the option to buy an additional 83.33 million shares. So just more sign this IPO very well received as SPCX attempts to break that 175 level. Some housekeeping as well. In about 4 minutes from now, so at 10 a.m., the U.S. NAHB housing market index data will be coming out. I'll be giving that to you guys right here at this desk at 10 a.m. for happening now. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara, for sure. Adara. And again, thank you to Cheese right there. Cheese. SpaceX is my stock, apparently. Keep it up. Yeah, I'm going to keep on going with it. Look at that huge size at 175 right now, right? So want to thank you for that. And I don't know, it's only day 2, man, so I'm not going to call this my stock, but definitely made, like I said, more money on this than I've done on any other stock, and that was in 1 day. So I've been trading here for 200 days this year, 150 days, and SpaceX now is number 1, and we're putting some more money onto that account here today as there climbs through 175 again for SpaceX. So yeah, giddy up one more time for SPCX. We did take a lot of risk there off the open, and it was well rewarded, obviously, and we not only did we go long, but then we reversed it into the short, which was probably a better overall idea than the long off the open, but long off the open definitely printed and a little bit more risk in that. We did have our easy outs there to go with, needless to say, off the open there, and we did get stopped out a little bit, and then I got back in, and that was the trade there on SpaceX off the open. Nvidia trying to fail out down here. Let me take a little long there. It's not at the right price yet, so we'll buy some 13s, but I was still waiting for 85s. Like, again, that went to 87 there, so we should have been long. Am I still there? Yeah, I'm at 86, 208.86. So we just missed it by a penny. I'm only going to give this a 208.50. I'm not even going to give it, well, the 200 period, I guess we could be a little bit more patient with and give it down to the 200 period maybe. But I'm still going to, if this breaks 208.50, I'm gone. Don't really want to be part of that. We've already nailed that SpaceX trade, and obviously we just saw huge size there at 175. So no surprise there that we did pull back a little bit, and here's our outs leading up into 175. I only have a quarter left now on this trade, right? But this was, again, take a little bit of a risk down there to 168.50, buy it right now, wait to see where it runs from there. Good, we finally get that fill, so let's take advantage of it if we're able to. It just spiked over 209 again for Nvidia. We did get our 86 fill that time, but we didn't take advantage of the high tick through 209 again. So Nvidia definitely having a problem as the market's trying to pull back. I am going to take advantage of SpaceX one more time and see if I can get out at 174. But for right now, a little bit of a downside move. I can't feel my hands. I'm going to go get some coffee, and then we'll wait to see how that goes. I'm sure you need one because Randy right now, there's a big fun plant at his desk right now.
Huh? Oh, yeah. It's a little bit different. We have some renovations going on in the back, and some things got moved in here, including a nice, pretty plant. Let's go to Adair. It's time for Happening Now as the market heading back down.
We have some numbers as well, guys. I think massive. Just one number here at 10 a.m. The NAHB Housing Market Index data for the month of June in about 13 seconds. Forecast 37. Prior print 37. So what we're expecting here is no change. Now, in case you guys missed it, we did get a lower than expected print coming through here at 8:30 a.m. for NY Fed manufacturing. And for the U.S. NAHB housing market data coming in at 35. So a little bit lower here than the forecast and prior print of 37. Not much of a reaction here in the market. SPY continuing to push lower here off that 754 level. If we take a look here at the NASDAQ, looking kind of similar to the SPY. We know both of these gapping up amidst a pullback in oil, which we'll get to in a second. But I want to talk about SPCX, a name that I know has been discussed to death this morning, but certainly on watch here, guys. Not only is this day 2 of its IPO, we just heard the proceeds were a bit bigger than expected due to some underwriters expressing with these additional shares and this over allotment. Additionally, we have a whole bunch of these leveraged ETFs coming out here. So you've got this SPCX ETF here, 2 times leverage. We have a liftoff ETF called LOFF. So be careful, guys. Lots of leveraged ways to trade SpaceX in addition to the SPCX ticker. Keep an eye on USO as well. We've had comments from the likes of JD Vance and a whole bunch of officials out of Iran as to what this deal between the U.S. and Iran is actually going to entail. Again, this is set to be signed on Friday, so we'll have to wait and see how everything takes place. But we know President Trump, about 20 minutes before the bell, posting that oil is moving through, or some boats, which do include oil, moving through the Strait of Hormuz. So lots to watch out for today. Don't go anywhere. Stick right here with us every single day at Trader TV Live. And do be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.
Thank you very much, Sir Adara. And by the way, there's an offer out there for you traders that your broker is not giving to you. From June 8th through June 25th, Trade the Pool is giving first-time users an exclusive second chance opportunity. If this is your first time joining Trade the Pool and you don't pass the evaluation, Trade the Pool will give you another evaluation account completely free. That's right, a second chance to come back stronger, improve yourself. This is a one-time exclusive promotion, available only during the Trading World Championship event, and once it's gone, it's gone. So scan the QR code on screen right now, join Trade the Pool today, and take advantage of this exclusive second chance offer before it disappears. I want to shout out and thank you to Trade the Pool for sponsoring the show. And we have Mitch on, and we've had, of course, Steve Tomlin, good friends of the show. Appreciate them for sure. Look, this NASDAQ continues to hold on to some strength. I did reload Virgin Galactic off of some lower highs. Going to look for, basically the same exits, VWAP, and then any break of the $4 level. And again, looking for and hunting that LOD, because as long as SpaceX volatility and volume keeps up, although that might be breaking trend, as long as that keeps up, I'm going to be playing over in this Virgin Galactic, but yeah, you might be breaking a bit of a trend line here. And it's not much of a trend, it's just the opening range, a couple of dark pool wicks in there, but there's your bottom, there's your higher low, potential trend break here on SpaceX. But that can just give me a reason to hold on to Virgin Galactic more than anything else. As you start to come back in here, there's still 165 is a big level to pay attention to. There's still the volume weighted average price that you can sink your teeth into. And remember, the market's really been buying it up. Nvidia not participating, but this might even be breaking trend as well here on Nvidia. I'm looking for anything on market strength that's going to give me a bit of a trend break. Yeah, maybe not SMCI. That is absolutely dying. Like, what's going to show me a downtrend that we can break, or a VWAP bounce play? Thanks. No, could be Intel here. Intel's holding VWAP. That could be a little bit of something. But for now, just going to hold that Virgin Galactic. As long as that continues to fall, we can try to get that one into the low and look for something a little bit stronger. Apparently, Poth Mafia says BACs at VWAP. You know, the first place I would be thinking is not necessarily the banks for any strength. I just feel like there's going to be a little bit more movement in chip names, space-related names, the AI trade in general. But don't run. The banks are good. BAC is not my favorite. Citigroup's good, and then of course the trading banks, who all just made banks making bank on these IPOs, which they got it right. It's just going to be even better for OpenAI and Anthropic. And you know Morgan and Goldman and JP, like they're just going to line up and just gobble everything. Because quite frankly, it's an oligopoly, which is great.
Yep.
For them anyways.
And just like Nvidia potentially has some sort of an oligopoly on high-end chips. We'll see if that continues to be this case as margins are going to keep on shrinking and so on and so forth. But we definitely take advantage of that. So we go awesome there on the reload for Nvidia. It's always nice to come back, get some coffee, see that your Nvidia trade is now working into the money off that move. So again, looks pretty weak though in the overall market. I mean, I'm not really happy that we're holding underneath VWAP. We're holding underneath. So we're going to start to peel off right now some of this Nvidia trade, although I don't know, it's tough because I still like the trade, but still trying to make sure that we do take some profit because it is looking a little bit weaker. And that's one thing that I want to change up now. Now that we have, you know, quite a nice cushion with what we did on Friday with SpaceX, we can now take a little bit more risk, obviously, as, you know, we're trading on a prop floor, and I don't want to roll, you know, all the money that we made on Friday into bad ideas. So we want to make sure that we're able to get out. If we see something happening, we want to make sure that we get out, and we don't need to, you know, pray for any winning trades. We've already sort of got what we needed to do there. And we're now trading SpaceX a lot, I think. And, you know, good there at 170, another out right there at 174.50. Still waiting for 176 to break. I think now we can just hold off. I do now have about a quarter left officially on that whole position. So a quarter left, and now we'll just wait for it. Thank you there. Any thoughts on Celsius? I mean, again, a pretty good name. There's a lot of advertising going out still for Celsius. Customer acquisition still remains quite high on that level. And I don't, you know, I'm not like a big energy drink kind of guy or anything like that, but Celsius all the way back into 28. I think you might be right. It does look like it's bottomed out there. Not sure if there's going to be any earnings coming through or not, but you got to go all the way back to last March to sort of see some of these levels on Celsius. So as we look at a chart there, yeah, downside. Looks like we are trying to hold right into there. $25 might be worth a shot. I don't know enough about this to really say anything about Celsius, but it's not. If you want to take a shot, you do have your bottom now, but I'd rather us break and try to get above this $33, $34 mark, which is where means we'd be up over the 50-period moving average and over this little break spot right there that we got right back up to. That was the last time we tried to break the 50-period, came back in, tried to break it right there. Excuse me, came back in as well. So yeah, man, 50-period moving average on Celsius, something that you'd wait for that to happen. And it looks like we nailed it again right there on Nvidia. You know, we were just talking about making sure we don't hold that much of this stock as it comes up to the upside, and it just falls right back in. So we're going to stop out right now at 208.50. I'm not going to average it back in. That's the stop zone, and it looks like that's what's going to happen now for NVDA. And hey, if we get taken out, we get taken out. That's part of it, and that's why we have those top side outs when it makes that move. So there it goes. We're still very positive on Nvidia, but Here we go, banks.
Before we go to Adair quickly, the banks that took SpaceX public exercised their options to get an additional shares of SpaceX, and the IPO is going to end up as a 85.7. Remember, this is 75?
Yeah.
So it ends up as 85.7. It just goes to show the strength that is in that. The strength, desire, whatever, momentum that exists. So let's go back up to Adara, and we'll talk a little bit more about this strong market when we get back.
Another name that's strong here is Klarna, K-L-A-R and watch. This seems to be pretty speculative, so be careful, guys. But Vice reporting on said speculation that Microsoft could be preparing to buy Klarna, or at least to add them here as a buy now, pay later payment plan system. So KLAR potentially being watched here by MSFT for a potential partnership and or purchase. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Back to you.
I'm buying partnerships, fair. Yeah, they'd buy Klarna. It could be interesting. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could give you a temp floor on a stock like this. Like, this has been a beleaguered name that's holding some higher lows. I mean, why not? It's not doing a tremendous volume spike on that. That's intriguing a little bit. I don't necessarily, whatever. Like, Microsoft can do whatever they want. They got enough money that no one's going to care. Like, Klarna's not big enough to put any kind of a dent in Microsoft, whether they do it or not. That's a big-time Klarna story there. It's not moving enough to get me to think that there's a lot of juice in it, unfortunately. All right, is what it is. There are some small cappers, and shout out to all of you that are throwing your names into the chat like we always tell you to, with the $. One of them, RGNT, was just about to, no, it is going to halt up. It's at the halt band. It's literally at the halt band as we speak. It hasn't. I think it's halted once. RGNT up 250%. It is literally at the halt band at 531. So you're starting to see it run out of steam at said band. And this is what happens. They pass the buck from one to the other. Like, if this one stops, another one starts going. So it looks like this baton has gotten past a Regent. Just these small cappers since the PDT rule went under. And shout out to everyone that's taking advantage of that. I think there's been small cappers almost every single day going 1, 2, 3, 4, 500%, and much better follow through as it just may be more actively traded throughout the entirety of the session. This one's not going anywhere. But if SpaceX is bouncing off of VWAP, that would be the time that maybe Virgin Galactic catches a bounce for another reload. So he's going to short every single pop that we can get. At some point, those shorts probably turn into the volume-weighted average price, as this is making lower highs. Sell the news, sell the news, sell the news. Did Rocket Lab get to 100? Absolutely not. Rocket Lab's still at 107. This is built differently for me if you get a sell-off, sort of like a sell the news event on Rocket Lab, because it's going into the NASDAQ 100. I like these guys at $100, where there's been a little bit of temporary support. That'll be effective at the end of the week.
All right. Big Bear AI up 1.7%. Not doing a whole heck of a lot there for BBAI. Yeah, nothing going on. Nvidia does bounce off that, so we'll hit sirens up. I mean, I didn't want to reload it. Looks like we should have down there at the 200 period. I was just like, this name was weak. Normally we use the 200 as a support area, and we could have done that again, but our stop was always there, so we'll just remain chilled out on that one and just, say that, damn it, darn it, we missed an opportunity to hold on to dear life for that one, and we didn't do it. So I still don't love that NVIDIA idea of a long off the 200 period, although it did wind up holding. As we just mentioned there, SpaceX, I did get a little bit out because I thought, once we broke this 25 and we were heading right into here, I did have some concerns that, we were in a little bit of trouble there. It doesn't look like those concerns were very warranted, as it's upside right now for SpaceX, and we did get out. So not great, but not horrible either for the SpaceX execution. I still do have a decent amount on, but we're now under about 20% instead of 25%. Now I'm going to wait for that 170. You know what? Take a piece out right now, because we do know that there's a big buyer or big size at 175. So here we go. Let's have a quick look to see what winds up happening. I'm still at 176, so hopefully we do get a 175 break and we just go right up into 176, and then we'll see if we can get that fill. And then after that, 178 flat. We'll try that fill, and then we'll go. But here it is. This is the look right now for SpaceX heading into 175. So, you know, whether or not you're trading the NASA ETF or SpaceX or Virgin Galactic or Rocket Lab or whatever, this is the dog right here that's wagging all the tails. Let's just wait to see 65 million shares right now today on SpaceX, and we're $4 in the money again on it. So it's so far so good. What's up, Joe? How you doing, my guy over there? As Joe is now in the house.
I got something I wanted to ask pre-market. I'm going to ask right now. As SpaceX gets to 175 up at those highs, Friday's highs, today's highs, I want to ask everybody specifically, we know a lot of you got the allocation. We know you're sitting 135s, a lot of people. Did anybody, have you sold any of your allocation shares? Not talking about the day trading here. Obviously, if you're trading like Sean is, you're in, you're out, all that kind of stuff. But your allocation, did you sell any, yes or no? Did you sell any of your 135 allocation to get some of those profits? There were a lot of threats out there about if you sell within X amount of days, you're banned from IPOs for X amount of time. Schwab was apparently pretty good about it. At least some of your viewers were telling us. So there's some yes in there, but so far, almost actually 50% have sold their shares. That's what I like to see. Ring the register, nothing wrong with that. Be curious to see if that actually holds up at 50% selling that allocation. And you couldn't have lost any money. You couldn't have lost on the allocation. You couldn't have really lost if you bought the open and held. If you bought a little bit too far up the chain, I suppose it's physically possible to be out of the money because I guess you could have bought some shares above 175.
Yeah,
but it's technically possible on SpaceX to be out of the money, but congratulations if you got that issue. Effectively free money for anyone that got it. And nice to see some people ring the register. You have to, I think. You don't want
I wouldn't be ringing the register, but if you guys, it depends on your time frame, right? I mean,
I think a lot of people were doing it for that whole jump. Yeah,
like we said, like I would
bounce.
I would have maxed out at one. I didn't have an opportunity to do it. I would have done that, and as Michael Noss was talking about as well, there for SpaceX. And again, congratulations. I'm trying to buy more on the dip right now. So let's see if that winds up coming through or not on SPCX. Hopefully it does. But for right now, I'm still waiting for that 175 to pop through. It's been a hell of a awesome day so far, man. I mean, we did have this Nvidia take, still up on it despite dropping out rate. Obviously, we're still up on it, but we did drop out of a little bit there as well for SpaceX, for Nvidia. So that's going to be a look for me moving forward. Now on NVDA, SMCI, I really like that stock too as a long. We'll just have to wait to see if that one wants to come through. Again, just bounced off, I think, the 200 period down there. Yeah, right there, off 31s. I like it for a long, but we've got a, I don't know if it's going to hold 31. It's come right back in. I was looking at that. It went to 31.50, and now it seems like it's a little questionable here on SMCI. I think if you liked SMCI, maybe you like Dell as well here today. Not too much as far as we talked a little bit about the halting names, trying to look for some of those for you guys as well. But for me, man, it's the story is right here, and it will always be. Here goes SpaceX. I mean, I'll probably be trading this one the most. I'm here tomorrow, not here Wednesday, and then Friday we're all off, so it's going to be a little bit of a quick week here. But I'm going to be looking at SpaceX every single day, needless to say. So here we go, ring right through 175. I'm just waiting for it. Like, I think this is going to be a marketable trade. You can even bust through 175, take the long. There's a few million shares. It's done 68 million shares on the day, and there's a few more million sitting at 175. So we can scroll down. Like, you won't be able to see too much of them here because the books are so thick right now, but as we move down, you'll start to see a big level here. That's 175.50, and then as we go, we'll see some 175s, and hopefully it's going to
probably 5 times as many shares behind that in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a lot of shares, needless to say, for SpaceX. But it's going to have no problem. It's going to have a little bit of a problem. It had a problem the first time trying to break through it, as the day's high is 175. We have a couple ticks out up here. So we're just waiting to see what winds up happening the next time it shows up. I want to be able to sit here and show you guys what it looks like. So if that does go through, and just quickly here on IBIT, almost coming in, 37.50. We wrote down 36.50 though, right? Yeah, so IBIT doesn't quite get to those levels, but my attention is going to be on SpaceX trying to break through 175. That should be imminent right now on SPCX. So let's go. I'm offering 176. Hopefully we do get a little bit of a boosh to the upside, like breaks it and booshes upside, new word, and then we'll wait to see if we get 176. Here it comes. Oh, it just got hit right back down. It went to 174.80 right there, and now we're just waiting for that one to pop through. Look, my hands are off, man. We're offering 176s here on SpaceX. We did hear that the bot deal was even higher than expected, so whether or not whether or not there's still liquidity in the market for this, I don't know, but 175 has been a turnaround spot for SpaceX. So whether or not you're long with me in 4 $4 in, or you've been short off 75 a couple times. You know, the trade here today, SpaceX, has been very calm, easy. I mean, easy, I would think anyways. Nice move early if you let it settle down. Comes in, bounces off the 200 period moving average, then takes the key level of 170. That was an in for me. And now we just wait to see the top side for SPCX. And hopefully we break 76. I got an offer at 76s, then at 78s. And we'll just let SpaceX hopefully ride to the high side. But yeah, pretty choppy right now on the top end, which is good, right? I think you want to see some kind of orderly market here for SPCX, and that's what we've got right now so far here.
Here's a good point
Today.
Here's a good one from, it's not a super chat, but LMF, Chinito. I heard insiders allowed to sell if it's 30% higher than the IPO price, that's 175.50. So to the I mean, that has been resistance for 2 days now because there's only been 2 days to trade, and you're triple topping up there. So if you were able to get through that, I think you could have another wave to set upside. But remember, there's already a lot of people that can sell, and you have been seeing some profit taking and resistance. I do want to remember Circle. I think I'm 99% sure it was Circle that did a similar thing on day 2, where in the morning it ran into the highs, kind of sideways, and then eventually broke it. But I don't think it broke until, it might have broken in like the back half of the show, or like the back half of the morning show where I passed 11 o'clock. I think it was me and Obi who were on it. I remember it being late enough that you're like, oh, now it goes kind of deal. Like it was running, it was like a good long, but then it wouldn't follow through, and eventually did the break. As that continues to go upside, the other names continue to go down. So we've almost, like we're looking to close the gap.
SpaceX broke 175.
Oh, it's through.
Yep. We didn't get 176. It just went right.
I have it underneath.
It went, oh yeah, well,
Flip.
it went. But it just didn't go.
I can't flip sides.
Yeah, so there it is, man. It does break, so good trade there. But we were waiting at 176. It went to 175.95.
No way.
So we were just waiting for 1 penny or 5 pennies too low, too high on that one. I think it still goes back. But there's the break, and there's the sell, as you guys had mentioned there. Big sellers. It looks like upside on SpaceX, but it does break. That was real. The day's high, 175.90. We miss it just by a little bit, and now our quotes are all messed up again. Yeah. So 173.24, 174, 173.50. Current quote right now on SPCX. So yeah, man, good little fake and break there. Maybe I'll take advantage of that. Let's get out some at 50 now, just in case that was the test of the high. We're into now 15% left, so still waiting high side for it. Whether or not it comes in, I don't know. We still do have ARM coming through as well there today, as we want to say welcome. Tiffany is here running the board as well with Andre today. So shout out to Tiffany, shout out to Andre. You guys are crushing it. Thank you for making us try to look good. So thank you for that one. All right, over to the desk. It's Adara with a 1020 update.
Some news quickly to mention here, guys. I do want to let you know that some comments here coming on the Middle East situation. For one, leader of Hezbollah is reportedly speaking to Al Arabi TV, saying that the final terms of the agreement between the U.S. and Iran have not yet been reached, which is what we're also hearing from the U.S. And this individual further adding that they are insisting on the withdrawal of Israeli occupation forces from Lebanon. So some more, I guess, terms potentially being mentioned here by Iran. I also want to mention as well here that military advisory here in the U.S. saying that the U.S. blockade in Iranian ports will remain until that official deal gets signed on Friday. Let's talk about small caps. VSME, VS Media. This is an interesting one. It's kind of a day 2 catalyst, but it's actually a catalyst from all the way back on April 27th. So I guess this got going on Friday as we had the revisiting of an announcement made from April 27th. That was the company's May AI Smart Living announcement and its debt conversion agreement. So interesting look here, revisiting of a catalyst for VSME gets not 1, but 2 days of action. Also, guys, just seeing apparently reports of Israeli drone strike in southern Lebanon. Just be aware. PAVS also here worth being aware of. This is our only day 1 small cap catalyst in the small cap recap today. Couple different things here from PAVS today. For one, mutually agreeing to terminate its sales agreement and related ATM offering arrangement with AC Sunshine. Paranovus also striking a letter of intent to acquire Jab and Arrow for $15 million to $20 million. Last but not least, CAST. This one was on our watch list. It's actually a day 3 catalyst. I guess this was announced on Thursday morning, but they expanded their DirecTV relationship. They're going to be offering services via DTC Residential and its ecosystem of PAAS partners. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. And you're about to tag LOD on USO as oil futures, USO down 5%. Obviously, this is not oil futures, it's ETF, but same difference. You're going to be breaking these overnight lows. But the problem is you'd think that would be good for the market, but the NASDAQ is losing VWAP. I don't want to call it a flush because we're up 2.5%, but we are losing the volume weighted average price up here. And if you're looking for some culprits, don't blame the dead one because it's not looking very dead at all. Like Apple's holding up pretty well. It's Alphabet, which is underneath the volume weighted average price and looking like it's heading lower. If you're looking at some of the memory names, the strongest name out there this morning in the space was Micron. It's also putting in lower highs and trending to the downside. Yet some of the exuberance slowing down a bit. You would think if oil trended down, that would be an all systems go. It just has not been that way at all. I'm still just holding on to Virgin Galactic. I thought maybe Intel was going to be a thing for me, but remember, we're looking for that VWAP bounce. Intel just very promptly lost the volume weighted average price. It was no continuation. So that's still heading downside. Maybe a pullback into the prior high can be a bit of a thing. As we're testing 128 right now, 127.5 is the prior high, and would also be a double bottom off of the open. So a trend break on Intel is in play given what the market's doing. It's still hard not to want to find some longs in these tech names if oil is going to continue to go down the way that it is.
Yeah, what's up, Simon? Thank you to you for finding this channel as well, man. I'm really glad that you found it. Trading does get lonely, that's for sure. That's why we're here, and hopefully you guys can, continue to support the channel. We'll be here every single day. I just feel like slapping a fail, although we only have 2 trades today, and trust me, man, this is not a fail. It's been a very successful day, but fail there. We did Nvidia double buys off the 200 period moving average. So let me go over to another name that I was looking at earlier. That's going to be Intel. Intel was going to be a long for me at 125. We just failed at that bottom break of 128. So potentially here, as the NASDAQ trying to gain some feet, could go. I just want to let you guys know I'm out of SpaceX if we break 170. It's right back into the 200 period moving average again. We can try a small piece there at 170.50 or something. I'll put a bit in there, but I'm going to be dumping out of this one if it does break 170. My trade's already in. That's where we went long. It just rejected pretty nicely there off of 175. As it was pointed out by our viewers there very astutely, that that was that 30% marker up there around 175.50, 176. So there's the move down. And a smarter trader than I would have shorted that, but unfortunately, no. And there it goes right back in. And I'm just going to try it one more time right there at 170.60. We just literally missed it again, I guess. Went to 170.80, but that's okay.
That's the 200?
Yeah, the 200 period moving average. Yeah, the thing that we've sort of coined here on the show. And people always like, why do you use the 200 period on 1 minute? And it's been a money-making opportunity for me. So we'll just continue to use that. And I think that's the best thing you should do is, figure out what works for you.
If an indicator works for you, you use that damn indicator.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we said,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you read in a textbook. Or, I don't know if you read
That's why I don't read anything, because I think it's good for mental game, but it's not good for anything else, because most people that are selling something are selling you something because they, quite frankly, no one's going to give you the secret sauce. They're just trying to sell books and things like that.
They just trade it more.
Yeah, it's just a matter of understand what you do. I mean, that's why we're here live, and I think that's why it's important that I try to tell you realistically, the success rate of prop traders, the success rate of traders in general is extremely, extremely low. You're talking about like less than 5% of everybody that's even walked through our offices here have ever even made money. And when they do, it's on major, major market events like the IPOs, like the rebalances that are coming through. Sitting here and hitting keys every single day, although it can be fun, you definitely have to understand what you're doing in order to put money at risk. So that's why we always talk about it being a good adventure into the prop realm, because there are lots of opportunities there that prop firms will give you to trade, their money as opposed to yours and work on your game just a little bit more right there. Yeah, the book that we have is Real Trading. That's talking about sort of the push back from algorithmic trading. I still have to read that book, so it was a busy weekend.
The book is not how to trade.
No,
it's about trading. Yeah, it's trading in general, why the market will always have real traders out there and not just algorithms.
Oh, we missed
which I think
again.
is
What the hell?
Understanding market structure is a good way to learn too. Like, just understand how the market works, why things are the way that they are. Because if you understand liquidity events better, like say an IPO or rebalancing, whatever it might be, the market mechanics, that helps you in your trading of those moments. So I think that's a completely different ballgame. Just want to note, ARM is back.
Oh, good.
It's dumped twice today, pre-market, and then right away at the open back into 370, and it's back to the upside. So I think your all systems go. We thought at some point it seemed like maybe there was a negative story going on because there was no reason why it was falling the way that it was. But if it can get back up to 400, I think that'd be even better. And then this one just continues to bounce. I think there's one thing that we're learning in this bull market. These parabolic names, when they pulled back 20%, 25%, whether it's ARM, we'll throw Marvell in there, SanDisk, Micron, and insert whatever name out there that you like. That's just been a heck of a buying opportunity. This pulls 400 to 300, and then it's absolutely gone. This bounces off of 200 when it pulls back to like 240 and goes 20% down after earnings, and then it's absolutely gone. I know people start thinking that the valuation and this and that, but heck, man. ARM didn't have a great valuation before all of this. And if you didn't like it then, and now it's like, well, we don't like the valuation. Well, they got a chip business now that's going to generate 5x revenue in the next couple of years. So that's getting reevaluated, and it's still looking like it's an absolute burner to the upside. So it is what it is. As long as the dip buyers keep dip buying, respect the trend. You just have to.
We did get a little bit of a reload here, but not much. I mean, I was still waiting for that 170.60, but we took some 171s there. I just don't. We could have just taken 80 cents on that last reload. Still waiting to see if we can get testing back up into that 175 area. We do know that there's no more support back up there, or so resistance. There's no more overhang on the shares. So if we get back up there, maybe we fly through, but that's a maybe, and I don't. We're going to dump that if it breaks 170. That was our first take, 170. You know, we've done really well on it again here today, so let's just wait to see if that winds up holding. We've been down here at 170.60 both times and missed us, so hopefully it comes back in and gives me that 170.60, and then we can get going, and if not, we'll stop out. I'm only taking 20% of what we had on the first breakout. So if it does go against us, it'll be a hit of about, maybe, I guess less, well, way less than $1. It'll be a hit of 50 cents, and it's on 20% of what we had right there. So just giving you guys an idea of what we're doing. Over to Adara at the desk.
Feeway here, no move on any of these yet, but watch BlackRock, Blackstone, that was Blackstone, this is BlackRock, and KKR. Axios reporting that Senator Elizabeth Warren is at it again, querying all three companies. If I get more details here, I'll let you guys know. But again, three of these credit equity-related firms reportedly being queried by U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Back to you.
Thank you very much. As always, Adara. Oh, get it, Qs. The Qs, the Qs, the Qs.
Yeah.
Almost at the highs. You know what is at the highs and can't stop, won't stop? DRAM is back at that 70. So DRAM did make an all-time high, and of course, for anyone that doesn't know, this would be memory ETF, obviously, but it did break all-time highs very briefly, sort of failed that breakout earlier and putting in a bit of a lower high in here. But yeah, if it gets through another fresh top, I guess I was wrong about saying it would happen tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, whatever, give it a day and we'll get there. Well, it was more like give it 5 seconds and then it would break that all-time high. But it is back underneath, so watch out for this overhead resistance. Micron, SanDisk, and obviously you get exposure to like Samsung and HK Hynix as well, which is coming to at some point we do think will get listed in the U.S. markets. That'll be spicy and fun if and when it does happen. All right, I'm sort of seeing that bounce that's happening in SpaceX is causing some sideways action here in Virgin Galactic. There's been no shot for a reload, but it's getting to that time of day where it's 10:30, you've had trend down. I'm slapping my trend line on here and saying, if we break the trend line and get back above 380, I'll just be out. I'm only holding on to the last 15% of it anyways, so just gonna move the stop. Oh, okay, I already canceled. Just gonna move the stop. We're looking to basically close the gap. This was what I wanted it to do in the afternoon on Friday, and it just went sideways. Like it gave you like 5-10 cents, but the push down into the lows makes a little bit more sense. We're looking at, I'm 1 for 3 today, and it was like 0 for 2 on Robinhood, 0 for 1 on an IBIT, which really wasn't didn't take that big of a shot at it because it didn't come into the levels, and then just sort of make it all back on Virgin Galactic. But there goes Robinhood. I just find like sometimes you stick to the one that works, and that's part of it. So, I decided to pivot over into SpaceX because that short was setting up and looking good, but Robinhood back into that $100 level. And remember with Robinhood, yeah, buddy, the 200 period moving average, which it's been allergic to pretty much the entirety of the year outside of the month of January, this is the spot to look for. 102.5 into that 200 period. I think you find a little resistance there. It's all systems go when you break out from that 200 period. But this is what I've been waiting for because I've been long this sucker at 80 bucks for quite some time, looking for this move. I don't know how SoFi is doing. Should probably check a look.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been looking. It was doing okay.
Well, you'd
but
think today it
Bitcoin,
would be.
Yeah, Robinhood's much
Robinhood,
more, get up in it than SoFi does. But okay, so just real quick, man. We're back into SpaceX, but it could not be for a long time here. As I said, just a quarter of the position, or sorry, 20% of the position we initially had. It just went up into 171.20s there. I didn't take anything out. Maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. Willing to stop out on a break of 170. So my order's already in. It's all automated. If it breaks it, then we're out of this one. It's SpaceX. See you later on a 170 break. But we tried it. Looks like there was a lot of energy up there at 175, and that's now created a little bit of a panic in the name. So let's see it sell off. And, the minute that false broke right there, we got out again at 174, and we got out again at 173.50. So, the outs were definitely there and gave me a reload $3-4 lower. And there it goes. So, downside there for SpaceX. So we're not going to slap a fail on it. We're actually going to slap a money on it because it was a great money-making opportunity. Unfortunately, I didn't pay for shorts. I can probably just go in there and do that right now, and we'll be able to see how much
They're basically free.
Yeah, exactly. So that's...
shout out to Real Trading. It's less than 1 cent per share at Real Trading for locates, and that's the ability to go short. Like you pay for shares to borrow, and then we can go.
It cost me 23 cents, which and then we made $10 on Friday. So we'll do it again.
That price came way down. Way down,
which is 5 cents.
That's par for the course. We have a super chat I want to get to. It's from Nicole Vada. Can we throw that up on there, Andre, or I can do it? I just found it myself. Did you? Sorry, I just read it now. Did you go to WWE Angel Reese game? Yes, I did. SPY options were good this morning. Now I'm waiting for 752.56 or 754 breakout patiently. So yeah, my neighbor and his daughter, and then he has season tickets to the Toronto WNBA team, and it was a fantastic game. If you were not a fan, we got destroyed, but there was an absolute, just one of the most epic crash out fouls on Angel Reese. Like our center, I forget, Harrison, I think our center's name was. She just dragged her down at one point out of pure frustration and almost like body slammed Angel Reese and then got tossed from the game. And my neighbor's daughter, who's like 7 years old, was like, "What's going on?" to her dad. And she's like, "They just both really wanted the ball."
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened. Now, Angel Reese, in my opinion, is a bit overrated. Like, she's a great rebounder, but that's... I think 75% of her offensive boards because she's such a bad finisher around the rim, and then she just grabs her own.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I was saying.
It's like, but then when you watch it, it's like she didn't even attempt a shot 5 feet away from the basket at any point.
I can't.
But the atmosphere was fantastic, man. They really respect and
that's the whole thing.
And support
I can't wrap my head around watching that basketball yet, but maybe soon. That's the difference.
I think Gia would enjoy it. It's just,
no, it's not that. Just the quality for me. Oh, the atmosphere, 100%.
Atmosphere.
I mean, we are season seat holders for the hockey, and that's that the women's hockey.
It's just different, man.
Much better than women's basketball, but
yeah, the missing layouts.
Yeah, missing lay. Like for me, I'm sure it's a great experience. So shout out to that one. Just not the same excitement for me, women's basketball. But hey, man, I mean, to each their own. And go Toronto Tempo, man. Definitely worth it. That's for sure.
They're 500. Which
are they 500? Okay. Nice.
For an expansion team to be 500 in any sport is kind of abnormal.
Yeah, so it's not like the Las Vegas Knights that win the Stanley Cup on their expansion year. Okay, here we go. Here's SPCX there. Nice move to the upside. Shout out to the Utah Mammoth as well. They're having a good success rate. And shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes because you guys are now... awesome, and you guys have been awesome all year, so we say a shout out to that one as they get the money to explode for Carolina today. I guess I'm not sure when the Hurricanes parade is, but New York is Thursday, so that should be a lot of fun there on Thursday as people get ready to have Juneteenth off the very next day. So that should be a lot of fun for everybody in New York taking Thursday off. Maybe the market will be a little sleepy there on Thursday. There's 169.50. We got stopped out there. I mean, completely. I mean, I guess we got 169.50 because we were trying to break. Yeah, so 50 cents worth of a slippage on that one. So we wound up losing about, I think we lost about 80 cents on that. And there it goes right back up to the upside. So just like it washes out up there, washes out to the downside. But P&L number one by far today for me would be that. We only have one other trade on Nvidia, and we did the same thing, man. We got taken out at the 200 period moving average. So we're still it, man. We still know the prices that we're looking for, the levels that we're looking for. Just got a little nervous there, got stopped out as the market was coming back in and didn't really, I don't know, whatever. It crashes my in, and so we get out when that winds up happening. Unfortunately, we do not have the lunch menu has stopped being sent, so I'll have to find out, contact the caterer my damn self, and get that lunch menu. So for now, the most fabled segment on TraderTV
we can
Live
guess.
is.
How about we just guess? I'm guessing.
Okay, you can guess.
I'm gonna guess we'll probably have some kind of. I'll go with chicken and like noodles, but like the Thai one. How about that?
Okay, Thai food there.
Yeah, a little Thai.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with straight barbecue chicken.
Which we can
Barbecue
get
chicken, salad, roasted vegetables, mixed greens.
So we have a super chat on from Patrick here. We're just going to quickly get to TA technical analysis on Palantir. Thinking of re-entering the long. I don't think it'll be anything different than what we were saying before. Like here's a weekly of Palantir. There's the support that's been holding at 125-ish. Like there's a couple of wicks underneath that, but it's been clear support from February of this year and kind of triple bottoming. So I think like all longs are off here, and then the 50 period. I mean, the 50 period kind of gives you like 160-ish range where the resistance has been. So until proven otherwise, it's basically like there to there. But you're still in that downtrend. You lose 120, call it 122 as that low, and that support is gone. So yeah, I mean, I like that level. It's been holding out for a few months now. They're on Palantir, but make no mistake, it's been this to the 50 period on the weekly, and it's the same thing on the daily. I think it's like maybe the 200 period on the daily, and the 50 period on the weekly has been your resistance, and you're bouncing off back and forth. While the market continues to press highs, you're pressing the range in Palantir, which it's been giving you a good range, and that's about it.
All right, what we were trying to get to there before we start talking about lunch a little bit, there was Micron still up 8% here as we look at the broader market. Nvidia, Apple, all up, right? Today has been a big rally moment for stocks in general on the tech side, right? I mean, Micron, Texas Instruments, SanDisk is upside huge. Again, there's WDC, pardon me. Adair's going to do this segment? Okay. Okay, then we'll go over to Adair soon. J&J, Eli Lilly as well, Merck. So some of these healthcare names starting to dance around just a bit there. Coke and Berkshire, some of the financials upside there. So we'll leave that as we do have Sector Watch coming up very, very soon with Adair at the desk. But there it goes, NVIDIA. I mean, if there's any other names you guys want us to talk about, SpaceX is on the mind here today. It's well traded, but unfortunately we did stop out there once it broke 170. We went long at 170. We tried to go long again. Now it's outside. I'm going to try it one more time if it does come back in. And then the trade that, I don't know, I could have been in as well was ARM. You know, big bump down there, and it just landed right at pre-market lows, and that would have been something there that, you know, I look back, and obviously those are trades that we really like. And even right here, not a bad short opportunity if we break below 391, because that was that top, and we just sort of, you know, executed above it. Doesn't look like we want to hold. Will ARM give up this 391? It may just be doing that very, very shortly. That's ARM waiting to see if there's a trade coming on over there. And like I said, bidding more SpaceX right now, 170 flats. If that comes back in, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But that's another trade that I'm looking at. And then ARM potentially going short there through 291 on ARM. And I did look at SpaceX and I forgot, oh yeah, 3 cents. Per share. So we bought some SpaceX short. So if we wind up going short on SpaceX, we now can. And if I did, it would be at 176 or so, maybe 175.50, blowing it out at 176, something like that. But too bad we got stopped out right there. We literally just took an out that was 30 cents away from the bottom, and that would have made us $3 almost to the top side. So yeah, not a great movement now, but you know, we're still happy with the way we've been trading it today. It's all good over here as people are wondering if Palantir's finally waking up. Let me know when we got to go to Adara, by the way. I don't know if that was Okay, we can go now. There goes Palantir up 4%. This might be, I told you, trying to rotate out of some Palantir, maybe into some SpaceX, but not at these levels. I think Palantir still needs a ways to go, maybe 160, 150 on Palantir, a decent spot to think about getting out. Now it's time to go over to the desk to Adara. We'll see what she's talking about. I think it's Sector Watch.
Let's talk some of these sectors, guys. Again, here, Sean mentioned some of these, so we'll not going to go over tech or electronic tech. Again, we know both these sectors are very strong. Let's talk about producer manufacturing. LRCX, AMAT, GEV, all up at least 3% each day. Good look for this sector. Consumer services quite strong. Comcast pulling back a little bit, but you've got BKNG Booking Holdings up 6% today. Disney up about 1.5%. Mixed look for industrial services, mixed look for commercial services, but lots of strength in non-energy minerals. So gold, copper, these kind of plays doing really well today. Consumer durables, strong. GM up about 3% here. Tesla just slightly green in the day, relatively flat. Transportation mixed. Consumer non-durables, some weakness here with Coke and MO Altria here, both sharply to the downside. Finance, though, is looking pretty strong. And, of course, energy minerals sharply to the downside as traders digest reports, repeated comments here, suggesting that the conflict is coming to an end between the U.S. and Iran. We'll have to see if this deal does end up getting signed on Friday, June 19th. Back to you.
As always, thank you. Whoops, we got a key for this. What am I doing?
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Darren.
exactly.
You got to hit the key every single time, I think. And a big shout out to Adara. As you can also see, we got Sia on the desk. She's in the hizzy, of course. And Adara was off last week. She did a fantastic job filling in for Adara. And she's back in the building and locked and loaded. Come on, hold on to the bids, futures, if you can, if you're even able to. Like the NASDAQ, look, the NASDAQ is basically, we're teetering on VWAP here. It's like bounce, 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 teeter, 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 but lower highs being put in. I don't wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a breakdown. Intel still refuses to break trend. This is holding very well all morning long. Outside of you pushed into the highs, made a fresh high, Intel up 2.7%, but it just holds this trend line. It just won't break. So I thought this would be the next long, like breaking out of this downtrend. It just doesn't happen to be just yet. And Daniel, good question. Does eBay pull a Roku move? Well, remember, for that, if you're asking, can eBay do what Roku did? Like, okay, well, eBay has a suitor. It's just that there's just hasn't been as much belief that Ryan Cohen gets a deal done, right? So, remember the difference with Roku is being bought. It is cash in stock from Fox. So this is happening. eBay just had an unsolicited offer from GameStop and Ryan Cohen that is sitting out there, and the board was like, okay, we don't really think so. It's a very different story. Could something come of this one? Your guess is as good as mine. There's just a heck of a lot of doubt that Cohen can pull it off. And I think that's what the market was saying. And obviously, it would probably be trading a little bit better if that was the case. But yeah, very different. It's a very different story when the board is like, oh, we get an offer, the board's accepted it, so it's firm. And hey, we get an unsolicited one, we review it, and we're like, not really Ryan Cohen. Could it still happen with eBay? It's certainly possible. But it didn't really do much for GameStop stock either.
CUPR halted. Cooperina has been halted back and forth. Now it's starting to open up. Just opened up about 6 or 7 minutes ago. They're at $9. Makes a move into $10. 27 million shares as this name goes higher. Was there a story on this again today, Adara, or is this a day 2 or 3? CUPR. Yeah, nice move to the upside there. 150%.
It's a new story. It looks like 510K clearance from the FDA for their MetaFly maggots.
Okay.
Sorry.
Meta flying maggots? Is that what happened there? I don't.
Did you say maggots?
She did. Okay. So, all right. I don't know. All right. Watch out for 870 right now. It looks like that a break there could create a down halt because we don't really know any levels until. the way it went upside there in the pre-market means when the pre-market's happening, there's not as much volume and not as many levels. So if this breaks right there, 870, you're gonna have to pay for shorts, I guess, on that one and wait to see what winds up happening on a break. I do wanna make sure that everybody does hit the like. There it is, files FDA approval for its, there you go, maggot debridement product, debridement. Product
to clean and
see
heal.
ya maggots.
Yeah, to clean and heal chronic, non-healing wounds.
Good, nice, man. We like that.
You learn something every day, man.
Over 10,000 of you watching right now. Make sure you do hit the like button right here. 1.1K of you have done it so far, man. If we could just get one of you to do it, one of every 10 now, we'll get that up to 2,000.
Hit the like, you maggots.
You for that one. Yeah, get on there, and the next trade will have a 50% chance of going up or going down. And hey, man, we just said it. I said if we break that level right there, we will halt, and there's the halt right now on CUPR. Probably a downside look. It's 875. It halts at 883. Right now it's tapping 875, but a downside look there for CUPR as that just halted downside as we go on CUPR. That's the most recent one that's halted. WYHG is another name. Wing Yip Food Holdings. So if you're getting your food at Wing Yip Food Holdings, you've had a nice little run, man, from $1 there all the way up to $4 or $5, and now you're just dancing around here, 1.14 million shares. There's not too PRHI, and I apologize if none of these are actually moving around. Yeah, this one's nothing, 2,000 shares as well on this one. So looking out for PRHI as a potential halter. A name that can't work out these days, and that's, if my charts go, is Alibaba, and that's just had a real rough ride. You know, during this sort of tech boon that we've seen in the rest of the market, Alibaba continues to get hit downside. So maybe we made a bottom. 110's an interesting look there, I think. Still like all their technology. I think we're still in the early innings of any sort of China-US deal, believe it or not. Like once that gets back on the agenda, I think Alibaba could potentially work. I mean, all the deals, as Trump keeps on saying, like, just trust me, it will work out. And I hate that aspect of it, but the NASDAQ is moments away from breaking all-time highs again. And many of these names, including Marvell, right back there up to the upside. $300 was looked at today for Marvell. All-time highs around 330, so that's back in there. ARM was approaching $4 again today. Nvidia is the one that's really lagging, but that's at 209.70 right there. We should still be long Nvidia and long SpaceX, but we did get stopped out down there. Oh yeah, then USO was breaking lower actually today. So to complete certain steps to decentralize exchanges, what is that? Iran will be required to complete certain steps to denuclearize, sorry, in exchange for sanctions. Yeah, so we sort of talked about that earlier, that they were not near the sort of agreement as far as nuclear and you know what those programs look like. So downside there for USO. You know, for me the only trade is off VWAP here, 120 or so on United States Oil Fund.
And I saw someone in the chat like asking about oil prices and Tesla. There's always the theory that, of course, if oil prices go down, well, oh no, oil prices higher is good for the EVs. But try to remember that Tesla doesn't trade usually based solely on the fundamentals of the EV company. It's always been about the future. And in this particular case, I think right now you're looking at robotics, you're looking at full self-drive and automated driving, and then the outside chance, because Dan Ives was still talking about it. Every time someone asks him about SpaceX, he still says he thinks there's a merger happening. So I think like a small percentage as well of the future of Tesla is people thinking it's going to be a further, like a merge with SpaceX at some point down the line. Whether that happens, whether the regulators would allow it, who knows? But it's usually more than the EV business that people are pricing in. And today, I know it's up 0.6%, but the NASDAQ is still trending up. Right, you're still trending higher here in the NASDAQ and the ES, and Tesla has been trending to the downside. Let's go back up to the desk. Only 10 minutes to go. Time to see how the US dollar has been doing with all this oil movement.
I'll tell you what it did this morning, Neil. It gapped down here for the DXY. We closed on Friday around that 99.81 level. Open 954, it looks like. So that was a bit of a gap down for the DXY. We had this push to the upside, attempt to break recent highs, and then slam lower here on Thursday. So pretty violent action on Thursday, relatively contained action on Friday, and gapping down to start the week. Now this week, pretty light in economic data, especially compared to what we had coming through last week. last week with CPI, PPI, and University of Michigan consumer sentiment on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, respectively. So lighter economic data week, but there was one pretty massive economic data event to be aware of, guys, at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be getting the first Fed decision under the leadership of new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh. It will also include a summary of economic projections, which you don't get at every meeting, so that is significant. That'll be coming through again, 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, June 17th. So let's take a look here. As of before this meeting, before this rate decision, how do people see the situation with rates going forward? We don't expect any cuts or raises for the rest of this year, but once again, we're now starting to price in a rate hike in January. So that December or January rate hike bet continues to waffle. We might get some more consistency with that going forward, depending on what happens here on Wednesday. But speaking of Wednesday, 98.7% of participants expecting rates to be held on Wednesday. You've got a meager 1.3% of participants expecting a 25 basis point cut. So rates being held, very likely the announcement we get from Kevin Warsh and Co. on Wednesday. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. And well, I could hit the key, but you know we're going to be looking at the end of the year and even into 2027. It's important to look at rates, certainly, but slight moves down on those rate hikes that pretty much everyone has been talking about. If you go all the way out to like March, though, of 2027, you're still looking at rate hikes. But I think that's the kind of thing that can change. But first things first, it's one thing to have a deal. You also need to have that follow through, see some ships go through, like have the strait fully opened up, have that trickle back through the economy and yada, yada, yada. You're still going to want to see some data. Well, the Fed's going to want to see some data showing that those hot prints that we had basically in inflation are going to be slowing down. You're catching, I don't want to say you're catching a bid on USO right now, but it is. So it's bouncing off the lows. So maybe watch out. This is a 15-minute to give you an idea of the last couple of sessions on USO. For like 80% of Friday and for almost all of today, you've just been chilling out in like a $1 range. So I think the one fear would be if you break out upside of this range, that would be bad for markets, obviously. But if you break out downside, I think you're going to go all systems go to the long side. Frank, it's not was asking about Virgin Galactic. I'm not considering this could be an all-day hold, but I'm holding for the low. It's still, it caught another bid off of 370, but I'm looking for the LOD here. Sorry, low from Friday. I shouldn't say the LOD. It's at the LOD now. I'm looking for the low from Friday as a target, and I've already got my trail at about 380. So there could be a continuation. I just think there's a limit to how far it can go down, especially if SpaceX doesn't even break down. We got Anthropic to meet with Trump admin today over Mythos. Well, they comply and they sort of pulled the new, they pulled their new issue to be able to comply. And they've been in the crosshairs. It hasn't seemed to matter too much though. Overall, like they were in the crosshairs from the from the Department of Defense, and now all of a sudden, they get in the crosshairs of the administration. But that's not slowing down the IPO, which we're still going to get this year. For sure. What's up?
No, nothing. Someone said nice trade on Target. I don't know if you traded Target today.
Target today, no.
No, but TGT, man, we sold some at 121. We still hold 25%. But wow, Target right now, what a move, man. I mean, we always shine the light on Walmart, but this name, an absolute running machine right now is Target. Still glad we do have some 25% of that left. Obviously, we've put new money to work. We talked about buying IREN. We talked about buying SpaceX on Friday. And right into here, man, I mean, Target still blowing to the upside. This name is a great one. It also has a decent dividend of 3 to 4%. So Target really starting to work outside of all the other retail names. Target right now, just an absolute kicker back there to the upside. I want to say thanks to this comment here about SpaceX. Keep on watching. You wanted to know, Sammy, is there a short still on if we come up to 75.50? I think you can look at it for the short and give yourselves to 176. I don't. It's too bad because every trade that I've been in, we literally got stopped out at the lows. We had Nvidia right there at the 200 period, and I was just preserving capital. We had such a monster day there on Friday, honestly, that, today we hit our goals. We're actually 60% ahead of our daily goal right now. And so I just didn't want to lose it all there, make all that money on SpaceX, then lose it on the way back through 170, because there are still some pretty good bears on SpaceX out there that don't believe in this valuation at all and are just talking negatively about it. So, I thought that there was a chance for this name, to fall even further back in. It just didn't happen. So it breaks the 200 period. We get out there, we give it a little bit of room, and now it's just blasting higher. And the same thing on Nvidia, just believed in it. Look, we've taken 2 trades today, and they're 2 positive ones, but it's just, upside has taken out. This could be a good trade too on Nvidia right now, breaking through 210. I definitely like that one. So to answer your question, Sammy, yes, I do believe there is room to run on that. And obviously buying some SMR a little bit last week, just dipping in there underneath $10 has worked out. I did talk to our good friend, Mr. Kevin O'Leary, about said trade. And that's part of the reason why is that I like the look here on uranium moving forward. I don't know if it's going to be strong for very long. I was trying to get this maybe out. If we can get this out even just for 20%, like around 12s, I think that might be good. And then we kind of rinse and repeat it. I don't swing trade that much. So, this is just trying to have some, we've got a lot of play money now. So we'll just wait to see what winds up happening here with some of these names. I didn't put a whole bunch of capital back in, but we have sold some we sold some Marvell near the top of this, or not near the top, but, on this run. Turns out to be the top. I don't know if that's going to be the case. We sold some AMD, some ARM, some Marvell, waiting to sell some Uber if that ever gets going. Okay,
they caught a bit of a bid today.
Yeah, okay, that's good, man. A bit of one. I'll take 6%. Yeah, I think Uber. Maybe I'll sell a little bit of this at 75, if and when that does come into play there for Uber. And then I want to buy more SpaceX. I know that sounds crazy, but that would be another sell of ours. And then JP Morgan's been a real nice run. Back up to the upside. So again, talking about this name at 290, there goes the banks. Someone said BAC wasn't making a nice move or at VWAP or something today. Let's wait to see if JP Morgan gets back up to 335 and we'll be able to potentially get some more out of JP Morgan. So yeah, not bad. We're sitting here trading today. Cerebras.
You know what stands out today?
Yeah, what?
The Nasdaq's up 2.7% and about to tag the high of the day. The Russell is breaking the low of the day right now. So it has been it's basically been flush city all morning long for the Russell. And meanwhile, it is big caps to the upside, but the Russell going down, which is a weird, because like you would think, okay, deal, oil goes down, decrease the chances to some extent of rate hikes. And if you're not talking about that, then you're closer to talking about rate cuts. And if you're closer to talking about rate cuts, and that should be good for the IWM. But unfortunately, IWM's taking it on the chin. Maybe not the natural reaction that you would have expected to deal getting done here in Iran. But it is what is happening. And obviously the Russell, the small cappers are much more rate sensitive than the large cap names, right? They're not making money. They got to have funding, not generate as much cash. So not looking good at all in the IWM. But I do like that Uber bounce. There's at least a little something there. And there was one story that we talked about, well, Adara brought to our attention, and it's actually still going higher, that rumor of Klarna, and it's just a rumor, Microsoft potentially buying Klarna. Well, that's still trending up, so they must like it at least a little bit. And that chart looks not too shabby whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, where all systems go, the market looks incredibly strong this morning, relatively strong this morning, and holding up despite the fact, remember we were saying oil was making a bottom? It's still going. USO, now through VWAP, is approaching that pre-market high. I think that's going to be a good spot. USO gets to this pre-market top, look for it to maybe find a little bit of resistance there, maybe watch a trend break back in. Was Sharif just cheering on just cheering on oil going higher? Oh, he's just going. Record, we're trying to have oil be weak, Sharif. You can cheer it on if you're long it, but we want oil down, market up. That's what we want.
We are happy to tell you that the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Options, is here ready to go. Sharif is here ready to go. So good show today, 11 o'clock. Thanks to Derek. Great to have you back. Thank you to Tiffany. Something. Thank you to Andre. Everybody that's working hard over there. Ramin, everybody as well. I don't know if I haven't seen Fabian yet, but shout out to him. Shout out to Brendan. And thanks to Sharif for the morning show. But you're about to see this guy coming up right now. That's Neil. I'm Sean. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Peace. That's Neil. I'm Sean. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Peace.
You see how